If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.
Happy New Year, ladies and gentlemen, Benchwarmers. It is good to be coming at you in 2026 for the first time, and we have a lot to get into.
I haven't had an episode in a year. It's crazy.
In a year, we're just
taking the last time I'll use that joke for the new year.
Taking so much time. I do want to mention, big shout out to the Benchwarmers, and if you're not one, make sure you're subscribed, following at FEOTB Pod, but we have reached the 800 subscriber threshold. So we appreciate that. 802 officially right now. So make sure that you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. If you're watching us on Twitter, go check out the YouTube channel. That's where we post clips. But anywhere that you follow us, you'll be able to see all of our content. We're always rolling new things out. And with the playoffs coming up and somebody having the number 1 seed, we're going to have to do some playoff post game live streams. It'll at least be me. Most of the time I'm going to try and get Nico if he's not somewhere in Canada busy working, because, he does have a job. He is working on the weekends, working in sports. And speaking of the NFL, it is going to be Super Wildcard weekend. So we'll wrap up the regular season and get into our playoff picks, go through the point system and all that. It was a big day Monday, Nico. Black Monday came, and we have 7 new job openings across the NFL landscape. 2 of them were already taken care of. Callahan in Tennessee was fired in October. Dable was fired in November. Callahan finished his tenure with the Titans 4-19. He was 1-5 this season before he got fired. Dable 20, 40, and 1. He did have the one season where he took Danny Dimes to the playoffs, and they had that wild card round win over Minnesota. But other than that, not much success to speak of. Raheem Morris is fired. His final record was 8-9. Jonathan Gannon for Arizona also fired. So speaking of those first 4, how much of an advantage do you see it as for one of these teams that fired their coach during the season? Because obviously now that, a name that we're going to talk about for a while probably is Stefanski. Once he was fired, everybody started talking to him. Does it benefit you to fire your coach early, or is there a strategy of waiting around till Black Monday and then seeing what you can do?
I think it goes both ways. I would lean toward benefit, funny enough. The only reason why I say that is also you have good assistants on your staff, right? And you can see what you had from your assistants as well. So that's like a not necessarily a huge advantage, but definitely has its perks. When you look at the landscape of like where the Titans are at and where the Giants are at, like you're able to see what Dart and what some of these other guys were able to do with other coaches and made it a little bit different in that sense, which I think, like I said, I think it's going to help him in the long run. But at the same time, it's also important to be a waiting game a little bit, because as we're learning in the college football landscape, or not college football, NFL landscape, there's job openings that could come open in the next couple of weeks very quickly, right? Like the Harbaugh job, we didn't know that was going to come available, or the Ravens job wasn't going to come available until after that final seconds of literally regular season. So you run into that situation. What happens again if you have a situation where Buffalo loses, right? Buffalo loses. That's a big hot commodity job. They could be a team that a lot of eyes go towards, right? Philly, a lot of people are not happy with Sirianni for whatever reason. So that's a job that could come open.
Philly, at the very least, is going to be looking for an offensive coordinator, I have a feeling, because Patullo is going to do something that's going to piss everybody off in that part of the country. No, exactly, I see what you're saying with it's a benefit, but it's also the NFL, unlike college football, it's not based on resources. It's not based on how much you can get, because everybody tries to make it as even as possible. But there are certain organizations that do things the right way and take their time and are actually doing their due diligence. And then there's teams, I'll just throw it out there, because as we're talking about NFL head coaches that are fired, we mentioned one that should have been fired, but he was defended nearly immediately. As soon as Black Monday hit, Mike Brown released a statement for the Cincinnati Bengals saying that Zach Taylor and Duke Tobin are safe. He trusts them. They've proven that they can build a team that makes it to the AFC Championship. So this is what I'm talking about. That the Bengals are an organization that would rather sit on their wallet, know that they're going to make a profit, and just continue moving forward, making sure that their team stays there or possibly moves into Kentucky because it's going to be cheaper to buy land, and they are cheap. the organization. It's the cheapest organization in sports, but you have other teams like that. I would say that the Tennessee Titans are along those lines. When they fired Mike Vrabel, they had no plan, and that has proven without a doubt. They thought that they were going to get the hot offensive coordinator out of Cincinnati, who looked good because Joe Burrow was his quarterback, and he was going to replace what Mike Vrabel brings to you. Vrabel at least had a culture. When the Titans weren't making the playoffs, they were finishing around 500. They were not battling for the number 1 overall pick.
Like the problem with like teams like Tennessee and Cincinnati, it's both of those organizations are in situations where you have to hit on the one guy, and one team has the guy, and one team doesn't have the guy. In the sense of Cincinnati, this is now the second straight coaching cycle where you're sitting here being like, what if that guy was our coach? What if that guy was a coach? What if that guy was a coach? Guys like Liam Cohen, division winner. Guys like Ben Johnson, division winner in Cincinnati.
Yes.
This cycle now, Kevin Stefanski would do wonders with that Bengals defense.
I believe that Zach Taylor was hired the same season that Saleh was hired in New York. I know that it didn't work out for the Jets.
Saleh's been gone for 2 years, 3 years?
Three years, but when Saleh was brought into the Jets, that was the same season that Taylor was hired to the Bengals. They had terrible seasons. Burrow got hurt in his – they had a terrible season initially, got the number 1 overall pick. Burrow got hurt in his rookie season, and they ended up with a number 5 overall pick. They made a miraculous run to the Super Bowl the year after that. That's literally – if you can prove at any point in time that you've had success. Marvin Jones was kept around as the coach because he would make it to the playoffs and lose in the first round. That was good enough for the Cincinnati Bengals. So the fact that Zach Taylor has made it to the Super Bowl, he has a job for life. He's never leaving.
And like I said, that's why Joe Burrow is contemplating retirement. Let's be honest with yourselves. Like I said, this cycle.
Marvin Lewis, by the way, not Marvin Jones. Marvin Lewis. That's my fault.
John Harbaugh is available in this cycle, right?
Kevin Stefanski, come on, he's right up the right down the street.
Is he doesn't even have to change his house address probably,
no.
and he's available for the taking. You have guys that like Vance Joseph, Brian Flores. There is you have college coaches that you can throw in the mix. This is the second straight year that the Bengals are just sitting on their hands. Joe Brady. Like there's so many great coordinators and coaches that if you think that this next year everything's going to change, if you're a Bengals organization, that things are just going to magically change next year with Zach Taylor or under the helm again, and that they're all of a sudden going to be Super Bowl favorites, they have been passed up. That's a crazy thing. It was like the Bengals had a Super Bowl window was there. It was there. And since that Super Bowl loss, they have been passed up by a handful of teams. They've been passed up by the Broncos, passed up by the Jaguars, passed up by the Texans. They've been passed back up by the Chiefs, passed back up by the Bills, right? And those are just the teams that are in the playoffs. We can talk about the Patriots, right? They've been passed up by all those teams in terms of
passed up by the Chargers too. The only thing that we have over the Chargers is that they haven't won any of their playoff games, but they've been consistently in the playoffs. Whereas it's 2 seasons that I've been able to say, my team. It was back-to-back great years, back-to-back North Division champions. Here's my thing: if you can get an organization like Baltimore, who everybody in the AFC North besides Cleveland, I was listening to a show the other day. Cleveland has had 10 head coaches since 2000. 10 head coaches. 10. Stefanski being there for 6 makes him one of the longest tenured in that stretch in 26 years. So it's crazy how long the AFC North keeps their coaches. But when you have a team like Baltimore giving you the example of they're firing a coach that's good. He has a winning record. He's 180 and 113. Yeah, they missed the playoffs this year, but
dealt a shit hand. Got dealt a very shit hand. Like he was the number 1 coach available on the market until Harbaugh's name came out. Look, for whatever reason, Mike Brown and the Bengals think that Zach Taylor is their Mike Tomlin and their John Harbaugh. I'm sorry. Like they don't have the success of both those coaches.
There is no culture in Cincinnati.
There is no culture.
Absolutely none. And that was proven in Cincinnati on Sunday when the Cleveland Browns beat you by a walk-off field goal. You let Shedeur Sanders, who everybody knows in this rookie season for Shedeur, he finished, I think, with a 12 passer rating. It is the lowest that they have ever had recorded by a guy who started more than 3 games. And that team still beat you. And now we have the sack record that's been broken against us. We have Myles Garrett being carried off the field after he sacks Joe Burrow for the 23rd time for his 23rd of the season. And it's just like, it's comical. It is comical. It's Bush League. It is true Bush League.
Look, I understand you're probably pissed about it and how much they did the celebration and everything. I'm sorry, Bengals. I'm sorry, Zach Taylor.
I'm not sitting here like Jamar Chase. Don't worry. I'm not Jamar Chase.
You could have stopped that. You could have stopped it. That's all I'm going to say.
No, we couldn't. That's the thing. We couldn't stop Myles Garrett from doing anything. So.
You could have triple teamed him and let somebody sack him, Joe Burrow, every single time is all I'm going to say.
They were kind of doing that. They're doing that at certain times throughout that game. The kid that they got out of Michigan. That's the thing. Cleveland's defense. I mean, if I'm Cleveland and I just fired Kevin Stefanski, if Harbaugh's not willing to come, elevate Jim Schwartz and at least keep that defense intact because you got studs. You have studs, and you're holding teams. You held the Bengals to 16 points, and you got 14 points off their offense. So this defense can carry you if you get some competency on the offensive side.
If the Raiders or Jets are not sold on one of Dante Moore and Fernando Mendoza, the Browns need to trade up. Because let's put it that way. Because you get one of those prospects, they have a great offensive young talent. Judkins is very, very good. Obviously, they have Judy, right? They have some great. They have Frannon, who was very, very good at the end of the season. They have Njoku, obviously. They have some very, very good young weapons offensively. The problem is, and like I said, it's been for the last 26 years. It's the quarterback. It's the quarterback still, and I don't. Like maybe they feel like they can run another year back of Gabriel and Shador, and they said, well, we drafted the 2 quarterbacks last year. Let's give them another chance, and then you waste another year of Myles Garrett's prime. But like the Browns are not. Their defense is good enough to win the division. I'll say that. The defense is good enough to be in division competition.
They were in the playoffs 2 seasons ago.
Yeah, exactly. Their offense is horrid. It's just horrid. So if they can figure out the one position, and maybe this is the year where they develop offensive line depth, where they continue to develop young offensive weapons, and then they go get their Arch Manning or whoever next year's draft, and they're set up for more success in the future. But it's a situation where Stefanski left because he kind of just had to, and the Bengals for whatever reason have just realized, oh, we can just stay mediocre. We don't need to swing for the fences a little bit. Like we don't need to. Oh, we made the Super Bowl. Great, let's hang the banner because that's all we need. Like it's standing.
We lost 3 out of 4 division games at the end of the season, and we still finished 3rd because we ended up getting to 8 wins, or 8 or 7 wins. Can't remember which one exactly, but
7. But yeah, it's like I just sit here and like I said, I'm your friend, and I'm just sitting here logically because you talk logically about the Broncos, and I do too, and I know we both are the same way, good and bad things. But I'm just sitting here and I'm just like, I'm serious. We may be having this conversation next offseason where the best move for the Cincinnati Bengals is to trade Joe Burrow and get 2 first-round picks back, and fire everything and just torch the whole thing down. Because it's better to at least get something back for Burrow than him doing Andrew Luck and then the Colts be in turmoil like the Bengals are go into. Like that could be. I don't think this conversation.
That's the other thing too.
Next offseason.
The definition of insanity is repeating the same actions and expecting a different result. And if we're talking about a guy that's willing to retire over play for you in the current situation of your franchise, they've had that happen before.
Retiring also leaves a lot of fucking money on the table, okay?
But it also, once that contract is out after you retire for 1 season, your rights are available. So Carson Palmer did that. He got picked up by Oakland. It wasn't good when the Raiders were back in Oakland, but then he found his way to Arizona. Like it's happened before. And you've done the same things. You've done the same things that's going to repeat the same. Like you're trying to run the same coaching staff back, and it's going to end the same way. You're doing the same exact thing with a Hall of Fame level talent at quarterback, and it's going to end the same way. And we're all going to sit here and
it's just worse because Burrow is obviously way better than Carson Palmer was. Like that's the sad part about it is like you had that in your hands, and then you decided to go at everyone on Twitter who said they're not going to sign T and Jamar, and then have a whole. That's the dumbest video I've seen in on Twitter history in a long time, where the Bengals are tweeting out all of the people saying they're not going to be able to sign T, they're not going to sign Jamar. You're right, and then your defense is going to be the worst in the NFL, and then you're also continue to be a mediocrity for the next 30 years. Like it's not it's nuts that the team is, and like I said, it's not the social media team's fault, but it's the organization's fault. And unfortunately, like I said, Burrow is a one-of-one talent that you got gifted because you were the worst team during that draft, and you got gifted him, and it's going to turn out horribly.
Where do we see the coaches that were fired going down the list? Callahan, Dable, Raheem Morris in Atlanta, Jonathan Gannon in Arizona, Stefanski in Cleveland, Pete Carroll. They walked the old man out of the retirement home, and they decided, hey, you can go home now. You can be a grandpa. Pete Carroll is gone after one season in Las Vegas, and John Harbaugh is the most recent and probably the most shocking of the list. Stefanski, while everybody's saying we've mentioned it, he's the hottest commodity up until John Harbaugh was fired. But it's also like, should he have been fired? Probably not. It was an organizational issue that cost him his job. But of these 7 coaches, who are you expecting? Are you expecting any of them to opt out of coaching for at least the season? I can pick out one name specifically. I think Pete Carroll is done.
Yeah,
I don't think anybody's going to take a shot on him, but even if they did, he just has to walk away and go on into the sunset.
The only way Pete Carroll is a part of an organization next year is if he's in the front office somewhere. That's and I wouldn't be that surprised if Seattle did that, or maybe Raiders do that, or something like I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if that happened. He won't be on the sidelines ever again. We won't be able to see those gloves and those turf shoes, turf cleats anymore coming from Pete Carroll. You just have to worry about Jim Harbaugh doing that. I'll be honest with you. I don't see more than 2 coaches here getting hired again. I think Stefanski gets hired again easily. I think Harbaugh gets hired again easily. I think if I were to put my money on it, Stefanski goes to the Ravens. And then I take a next step forward. Harbaugh waits until the postseason is over. Waits until the postseason is over. See what Buffalo's doing over there. See how they're feeling about McDermott. See how a couple of the others. See what Pittsburgh is feeling about Tomlin. Just to feel about it, because 7 teams called him before he was fired, and there are 6 head coaching vacancies. Okay, that weren't his team. Obviously, the Ravens. So once someone already called him, apparently that team is the Miami Dolphins. Dolphins have enough problems, but I do think that wouldn't be a bad situation either for him. So I would highly expect both those coaches to be coaching in 2026, going into the 26-27 season. Everyone else will be a coordinator somewhere. Gannon will go back to Philly. Dable will probably be a coordinator at Penn State or something. Who else down the list?
Raheem Morris.
Raheem Morris will be.
This is his second time as the head coach, so yes, he's probably gonna end up being on the Vic Fangio trail, where he's gonna be a coordinator for the rest of his career.
He'll be a coordinator and be a really good coordinator for a lot of years.
Callahan's a name that I might see back in college.
Yeah,
I don't know if he has the stuff to be a head coach in the NFL, but maybe he has the ability to deal with these college players. And at least at that point, you can get better talent than the teams that you play, and you can schedule cupcakes.
This is a very interesting cycle because, like I said, I only see 2 repeat head coaches. I have to look at the statistics last year of head coaches that were fired, who got new jobs directly after. I don't think it was that many. I think that we're going to see a lot of coordinators or retired coaches for a year come back, like McCarthy's of the world come back. I expect. Like the Raiders are interviewing Davis Webb, for fuck's sake, for a head coaching position. I don't know how that will work, but go right ahead. Obviously, Vance Joseph's name will come back up again. Brian Flores' name. I will say the one thing about Brian Flores that raises the red flag. Ryan Fitzpatrick made a very, very good point. He's like, when you're hiring a head coach, same thing as a job, hiring someone as a job, you go down references. And there's not one single person you can call in Miami that is going to say a nice thing about Brian Flores and say a good thing about him. He could be the greatest coordinator of all time. There's not one nice thing that the Dolphins organization, anyone on that team, or any coaches on that staff will say about him. So that may hurt his chances a lot. But like I said, I think like Kubiak's name has come up a lot too. Who's the coordinator in LA? Like, there's a lot of great options out there that I think that the coordinator cycle is going to be very good.
And coordinators can flip the fortunes of your team. If you have a solid head coach with a system and a coordinator that can fit his plan into that system, that's where teams become successful. It's not all about hiring the head coach, but the head coach is important and does make the final decisions. We saw it in Denver when the trust was in play and they were trying to go with Nathaniel Hackett and Vic Fangio and Vance Joseph as a head coach. It wasn't working, but then you bring in a guy that has a system, you find coordinators that work within that system, and success ends up happening. Same thing in New England.
I know we gave up a draft pick for Sean Payton, but man, what a fucking difference Vrabel and Payton just made on these two organizations. Like I said, like Patriots were in dismay after Bill left, right? They hired what's his face, the Gerard Mayo, right?
Yeah,
and that went horribly. We went through 5 different coaches before we landed on him. Having that guy at the helm, yeah, he may not be the most likable person in the world, right? Sean Payton is not the most likable person, and he has his way of doing certain things and clapping back at all you. But there's one thing you can't deny is that he's a Super Bowl winning head coach and a guy that knows how to win big games. And frankly, if my coach knows how to win big games at the end of the season, that's all I could ever ask for. I don't care if you're the biggest asshole in the world. You know how to win big games? Then I'll be happy.
I'll take it. You can spit in my face all the time, Sean Payton. I'll take it as long as you keep winning. Just keep winning and everything will be okay. Speaking of coaches that are probably a little bit hard to like, let's change gears. It's getting close. I know that we have the playoffs still. The playoffs will be happening and almost already finished by the time that we're talking about the Olympics and in hockey. But we do have rosters and we do have a lot of conversations to have specifically about the big two, the North American teams. I love the fact that we got under Canada's skin with that 4 nations because we said it from the very beginning. We talked about it. I've heard other shows say it. If we won, it's the biggest thing that ever happened. If we lost, it's a made-up mid-season tournament. Who gives a shit? And it was Canada's stupid-ass round-robin rules that ended up allowing them to win anyways, so it doesn't really matter. The Olympics are not that way. This will be the first time we have best on best since 2012, and the rosters, as currently shaking out, like I said, there are solidified pieces. There are surprises, and we're going to start with Canada. Solidified pieces that I don't think anybody's going to be weird about seeing. Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, Sidney Crosby.
There's some Cale Makar, obviously. Like the big dogs are there, right? The big dogs are there.
Marchand, Marner.
I will say, for those that are expecting 4 nations to happen at the Olympics, it's not going to fucking happen. Like we've said it before,
there will be no line brawls.
There will be no fighting. It's the old Thomas Shelby line. No fucking fighting is what they tell them.
They will be physical. You can get injured in Olympic hockey just like you can get injured in the NHL. You just won't see broken hands quite as much. You'll see guys getting run into the boards, guys taking pucks off their shin.
So the need for enforcers are a little less needed in terms of fighters. Obviously, you still want your bruisers on the back line because that will help you big time, but a little bit less need for fighters. So you want to talk about Team Canada first. Obviously, like you said, McDavid, Makar, McKinnon, Crosby's there.
I think the one that people are going to start with are the young kids. They went with Macklin Celebrini over Connor Bedard. Bedard has been injured.
Celebrini's been incredible this year for San Jose. I'm not going to hate on that at all. And San Jose's been a better team than Chicago. So I will say the nod to Macklin Celebrini, who, by the way, could have been playing in the World Juniors because he's 20 years old.
He's 19. He'll be 20 by the Olympics, but he's 19 right now.
He's like, I'm good on the World Juniors. I'll just go to the Olympics. I was like, I'm fine with that. Bedard is the one that was a big head scratcher in terms of forwards. The other forward that was a big head scratcher was Sam Bennett from Florida, who's played some big time hockey for them. Obviously, had a big time goal in the 4 Nations final last February.
He was a part of the line brawl too. He fought Brady Tkachuk.
Too. Like he's a big time player that Canada left both of them off.
And he's by the way, back-to-back Stanley Cup champion.
Exactly. In terms of Bennett, I think you could find that hard-nosed mentality from a couple other guys. I do think they're going to be missing that cup mentality and that championship.
There is not much grit. No. I'd say the grit from this lineup is McDavid, McKinnon, and Crosby because they were back in the Team Canada days where they were the toughest team to play against. Because
they even left out guys like Mark Scheifele, who's another big body that could have been a bruiser as well. But in terms of Bedard, this is where it gets interesting to me because, like I said, Crosby on that 2008 team, I remember where it was.
Jesus Christ!
Was it 2010? It might have been 2010 actually.
It's 2010 was Vancouver.
Yeah, 2010 Vancouver, where he was the young gun. He hit the game-winning goal, and it turned into the Crosby era, right? It just turned into the Crosby era, and how he run red shot on the league for so many years in Pittsburgh. And then you look at Bedard, and you're like, okay, what's this? How is this different? Okay, well, Bedard's on a shitty team. Chicago's not good. Okay, they're not good, and he's not healthy. Crosby was the fucking phenom on a good team with Malkin, with some great talent there in Pittsburgh, and a guy that just was the next big thing. The next big thing. And Bedard will have his chance to I mean, I don't know if he'll wear the C for this team. I honestly think Kale will wear the C on this team once Crosby retires, and probably, or maybe McDavid does, probably one of those two. But I think Bedard will have his time in Team Canada. Unfortunately, with the way this lineup's set up, he's not fit in. And you'd rather have a 10th and 11th forward that plays more team hockey. On those back lines, you don't need goal scorers. Like I said, when we talk about Brock Nelson, because he made a Team USA team, we talked about like those guys. It was like, do you want a young gun that like a Tage Thompson that will line up the score sheet every night, or do you want a guy who's going to win every faceoff, be a great guy on the PK, and set up his teammates every single night? So and honestly, that's what Canada wanted to go with their forwards.
Well, and Canada and the U.S. have the difficulty too, because there are so many kids that they can choose from and so much talent that they can choose from. It's similar to what we were saying with Olympic basketball. It's not necessarily anymore the most talented team. Like the talent disparity is not there the way that it used to be. Everybody has a system. And a lot of the times the foreign teams are way better at playing their system, and they've done it repeatedly in the World Cups, and they go to their camps every single year. So teams like Finland, teams like Sweden, teams like Czechs, they're going to be
good, yeah.
Germany is a solid system. Like you're going to have way more talent on the Canada roster and on the US roster, but you also need to fit the pieces and be able to play with the coach. I think that's why. So I believe that Sam Bennett was replaced for Anthony Cirelli. Yeah, and it makes sense because Cirelli is John Cooper's guy from Florida and from Tampa, and Bennett is Florida. So it's politics. And is it going to be that much of a disparity on the ice? Who knows? But Sam Bennett, if I'm thinking of a guy that brings the level of grittiness and will be willing to bend the rules even in an Olympic situation, it's not necessarily the worst thing to have on your roster. And it would probably be better than keeping a guy from your team.
As a Team USA fan, like it's music to our ears hearing that he's not going to be playing, and then
you
also
don't have to deal with that psychopath. Yeah,
exactly. Then add two other studs that we get to see play every other night here in Colorado that also got snubbed from Team Canada, and Mackenzie Blackwood and Scott.
I was just about to move to the goaltenders, because how in the world does Darcy Kemper, of all the people in the world in Canada that can play for Team Canada goaltender, how is Darcy Kemper in the top three?
I don't understand it at all. I don't understand in the slightest.
You have the top two goaltenders in goals against average and save percentage in Colorado right now. Blackwood and Wedgwood.
Sitting at home, enjoying an Olympic break off. That both play for your team, by the way. I will say this. Logan Thompson will be the starting goal minder. So that won't make really that much of a difference. He's been great for Washington.
Darcy Kemper's just getting a voucher, man. He's just getting a stipend.
Exactly. Scott Wedgwood, a guy who's been around the league for so long, playing the best hockey of his career. Kenzie Blackwood obviously has been injury prone, so that's a different conversation. Maybe why you don't put him. But the conversation is Scott Wedgwood has been incredible for the best team in hockey. Bennington, I understand he did good for you in the Four Nations. I understand that you owe him something. But what I saw the Avalanche do to this fucking human being after the Olympic rosters came out, Bennington, I think this was, what was it, Thursday night, Friday night?
It was the Thursday night game.
Thursday night game. The St. Louis Blues came into town. And for anyone that like I said, probably not even covering on the Variety Sports Network because they suck so bad, like the Blues are horrible. The Blues are horrible. Bennington, less than 24 hours after getting called to the Canadian Olympic roster, went against Mackenzie Blackwood and then proceeded to let up 4 goals in 5 minutes. Welcome to the fucking show.
Did he have any water bottles to throw? Did he have any?
Welcome to the fucking show. And then ended up giving up 5 goals on fucking welcome. Like I understand Bennington it did things good for you, and the Blues suck and all this, but like it's a slap in the face to Wedgwood and Blackwood, two guys that have worked their whole career to have this opportunity. Who knows if Wedgwood probably won't ever have this opportunity again because of how old he is. But Blackwood may have it again in 4 years. But I just sit here and I'm just like, thank you, Canada. You're giving us an opportunity. You're giving us a chance.
You're leaving the door open. You're not covering the 5-hole.
Thank you very much.
What's the first thing a goalie learns? You protect the 5-hole. You don't let the easy ones go through the 5-hole. And just looking at the goaltender comparison, so we can move into the Team USA roster, we have right now projected Connor Hellebuck, Jake Ottinger, and Swayman is also reporting to the camp. So we'll have Three guys.
Yes, those are the three. It's confirmed the USA roster.
Those three guys. Now, Binnington has played in the biggest moments and won the biggest games out of any of them, and we all saw Hellebuck choke and spit the bit last season.
This is also to remind everybody this was before COVID. 2019. Okay, so yes, true, but also
I was talking about last season in the Four Nations when Hellebuck was
Four Nations. Yes.
Hellebuck. All he needed to we were about to sweep the tournament and go undefeated, and he couldn't hold up, and he got beat by Jordan Binnington. I want to see them. I want to see a competition. I want to see the pool play. I want to see Hellebuck, and I want to see Ottinger, not as a 1 and 2, but I want to see whoever's playing the best. You keep them in net. I want to see. Because we have the talent in the goaltending position to do it. Let's use the old Pittsburgh model. Whoever wins, you keep going. And once you lose, we'll go with the other guy and see what happens. You can't have an ego on this team. You're playing for something bigger than yourself. So if you suck and if you're not going to get it back, we got to give the other guy a shot because everybody right now is the number one goaltender.
Go put a ball cap on and go man the door, okay? Because look, it's not that big a deal. You'll still get a medal with the team, okay? I will say this: Hellebuck's had a tough year. I lean towards Ottinger being the guy. Swayman has obviously been good and good in Boston for a handful of years, but I just feel like Ottinger, and as much as we hate him as an Avs fan, but he's been great so far, and he's come up big in great moments for the Stars too. The past couple of seasons, that I think he's the guy. I think he's the guy going forward for many more years, in my opinion. I think he's the face of the goaltending room until Spencer Knight in Chicago comes into his full form. But yeah, this goalie room for the U.S. it's better than Canadian room. It is like Swayman would start for Team Canada. Like he would like he's been better than Thompson this year. Obviously, Otter's been better than all three. Hellebuck's had not obviously good playoff moments, but had better moments too. I feel very confident about our goaltending situation. Our blue line should be interesting. Obviously, having Quinn Hughes and Faber's
some of these
line.
names, it'll depend on who they play with. You have Slavin, who I think is one of the top 3 defensive defensemen in the game.
Incredible. Colorado kid, by the way.
Yes, kid. Erie. Shout out Erie High School. You have Faber, who's coming into his own as a defensive guy. Werenski is
he'll be paired with his line mate too, Quinn Hughes. And obviously we see Canada how good Taze and McCarr are together. They just stick them out there. It's like fucking go. And that's what Team USA is going to do. Is they'll just throw those two out there and say, "You guys know each other, just go."
My interesting ones that I'm not necessarily thrilled about: McAvoy and Jones. I don't know if we have anybody. I don't know if you have names that you think you would have put in over those two guys, but they're not people that have a big pedigree of success, and they're too young to have played in any of these best on best situations outside of I don't even know if either of these guys were on the Four Nations team last year. If they were.
Seth Jones was at both of them, or McAvoy. If you remember, I believe he was the guy that got injured right before he was having that great year in Boston and got injured. So he had a great year. He was on the team, but obviously got injured. And Seth Jones was, I think, that 7th defenseman.
And I know that you have to go through it to get the experience, but it's a tough situation for me to say, okay, go out there and earn your best on best experience and lead. This blue line has to be, your goaltenders can stand on their head, but the best teams only save that for a few games. Like the gold medal game or the semifinal round where you're trying to get into the gold medal game. That's when you want to use your goalie to its biggest advantage. You want to keep him as fresh as possible, and you do that via your blue line and your defense.
Like I'll be honest with you, Seth Jones has the experience. He's on Florida, so he was part of that cup run last year. Yeah, he was a depth defenseman. But your top 6 is Faber, Hughes, Slavin, Werenski, Sanderson, and McAvoy. And Hannafin could even substitute for McAvoy. It's good. So I don't have too much of worry because, like I said, 1 or 2 of those guys will be scratched every night. So I'm not too worried about that much. Like I said, that top 6 is still insane. Sanderson was great. Obviously, Slavin's been great.
Is there anybody that you would have put in instead of the guys that you see?
I mean, I can't think off the top of my head. There's a couple forwards that are head scratchers that don't fit in more than the defensive guys. But defensively, I think
let me see if I can pick out who you think. Is it Larkin? Is Larkin the guy that doesn't fit?
Well, Larkin's been very, very good from the stripe. So
Is
he's
he
a guy
going to
that
be the
fits in.
C? Who's going to be
No,
our C?
it'll be. See,
'Cause
Matthews.
you have the Kachuk brothers.
Matthews had the C at the Four Nations. He has the C in
But
Toronto.
is he a captain material though? Is he Team USA captain material?
See, man,
I know that he's talented enough to be. But
I think you're right. I'm not arguing with you. I think you're right. I'm trying to just think of who else would you give it to. I think both Kachucks have a good conversation there.
JT Miller maybe.
JT Miller is a guy that won't be suited up every night. That's a guy that was a head scratcher for me too. That I feel like shouldn't have made it. I would maybe put Jackie Hughes into that conversation, maybe, or Clayton Keller if you want a young guy, and give Austin Matthews the. Like I said, the more I hear it, the more I think it's going to be Matthew, or it's going to be
what about Eichel?
Austin Matthews. Eichel is a good one too. I think those are probably the three A's, C's. In whatever combination you want, Matthews, Kachuk, and Eichel. I don't know. Honestly, that's not a huge thing to me. Obviously, Canada has Crosby, so you know who the fucking C goes to, and we don't really have that.
McDavid is actually listed as the C right now.
Interesting. Did not know that. Okay. That's I mean, it's not obviously, maybe they're just passing the fucking torch, but everyone knows who the C is. So
we say that this is probably Sidney Crosby's last Olympics, but in 2 years,
4 years, 4 years,
4 years, it could be a whole nother story. He might still be fucking playing in the NHL. He started this thing back in the early 2000s.
Yeah, and the biggest head scratchers for the forwards lineup is the Stars boys. It's Wyatt Johnson and it's fucking what's he?
Robertson?
Jason Robo. It's Robertson. Jason Robertson. I think both those guys, forward wise, could have done a lot more for your team than Vinny Trocheck. Could have done a lot more for your team than JT Miller. Those are the two head scratchers for me. Rangers have not been good. Have not been good at all. And like I said, when you added Brock Nelson in the lineup, that replaces your need for JT Miller and it replaces your need for Vinny Trocheck because you have a guy that can consistently win faceoffs from the third line. Right, you should have added an extra winger or an extra offensive firepower guy because you have too many grit and grind guys on his team and not enough firepower. That if Matthews, Eichel, and Hughes are not going offensively, it's a little worried.
You're relying on Matt Boldy at that point because Boldy is talented but very raw. Here's the thing: when I look at these two rosters, when I hear the guys that know it way better than I do, because I listen to Chicklets and I try and inform my opinion the best I can. This is my first week getting back into hockey because the Bengals season is over and playoff season for the college football is finally slowing down. We'll get to the FCS championship, by the way, because Monday Night Football was a hell of a matchup. They're the opposite. They just went anti-Team Canada because Canada put as much talent and as much firepower as they could possibly string together. But we just said, no, not that much grit. The USA is going to be built on toughness, putting pucks in the corner, winning those battles and trying to get guys into the front of the net. And
what did good old Herb Brooks say in the movie? Obviously, he didn't say this in real life, but what did he say in the movie? It's like, I'm not looking for the best players, I'm looking for the right players.
The right players.
So I'm not gonna, like I said, I don't know if Billy Guerin is great at what he does, frankly, and he's a little head scratcher, but he did pull off the Hughes trade, and like I said, I think we're still the second best team in this tournament, like easily, if not the first. So it should be a very, very fun Olympics.
Last thing with hockey as we're moving forward, we mentioned it a little bit last week, and we said there was going to have to be a decision, and unfortunate circumstances have probably led to that decision being made. The Colorado Avalanche lost their captain. Gabe Landeskog gets ran into the goalpost. Upper body injury. It seems his knee he got caught in a rut. So it was initially thought that there's going to be something going on with his knee, but it seems like it's just busted or bruised ribs at this point.
It's great news that's upper body. Obviously, ribs and spleen or whatever is hurts and sucks.
Internal bruises are not easy to come back from, but it is much better than
you can come back from that. Let's put it that way.
It's not going to be a surgery that only one other athlete has ever completed just to walk before. That was what he went through when he missed that 5-year stretch. But we're seeing it also play out when the captain went down. This team that is still, they're still the number one team in the league.
We've doubled our regulation losses since Landy went out.
It's so just like seeing your captain go, and you're like, oh, no, what am I gonna do if he can get hurt? It's like what we were saying with Cena. If he can go down, everybody can go down. That's not good. You can't think about that. You just got to keep attacking. Just keep doing what you're doing, because if you I don't necessarily need to win the President's Trophy or break the Boston Bruins record, but if we can get home ice advantage in this inevitable playoff matchup against the Stars, that is
or
best
Minnesota,
case scenario.
It's great case scenario. And like I said, I honestly think that I know we talked about it last week, maybe it was the week before, how this Olympic break could be a detriment to this team. I think it's going to be a huge blessing. I was like, we're gonna like knock on wood right now with me. Like no one gets injured, but there's a lot of banged up guys on the bottom half of the lineup that could use the health. Like Nichushkin, for instance, could use that month off, right? Guys like Ross Colton getting healthy, guys like
Logan O'Connor is still trying to rehab and get back.
Like this Olympics pushes the year back basically a full fucking month, and so it's going to help us get healthy in the backhand, which I think, like I said, with the 82, you're not going to miss as much games as you would have because of the break, so it could be a huge benefit for us.
Last thoughts on the Olympics for now. We're going to keep talking about hockey, and when it gets closer and into the tournament, we'll be hooked and watching all the games. So any final thoughts before we move on?
Like I said, we had to just throw this in there. We don't worry. We're talking about college football and how stupid I am. We'll talk about all that. Like I wanted to throw this in because I was like, the rosters are out, and once the Super Bowl's over, we're fucking full throttle in the Winter Olympics because the second Super Bowl ends on February, what was it, 7th, 4th, 5th, whatever it is, right?
Yeah,
that weekend.
7th, I think.
The Olympics starts on the 8th.
The
Olympics starts that next day. So we are full force right after the Super Bowl getting into Olympic coverage. So we had to get a little bit of that in there. And like I said, not having Russia sucks. Sweden's going to be very good. Finland's obviously going to be very, very good. We have two guys from Finland, obviously, Lecky and oh my gosh, Kiviranta both made the Finland roster. Nate just got the Czech made the Czech roster as well. So we have good coverage all across the Olympic roster. So it's going to be a very, very fun time in February.
Yeah, we'll do a breakdown of the groups and the matchups for the pool play, and then got to make it out of your pool and get onto the bracket. But once you're in the dance, crazy things can happen. And man, it's almost like a professional segue, because when you get into the dance, Nico, crazy things happen. And
this is the chaos I wanted. I just forgot. I forgot about last year. I forgot that all first round teams lost. Okay, I forgot that we had 4 Cinderella teams into the Final Four last year, and we have 3 this year, okay? I'm sorry. Yes. It's on me. I forgot that I was begging for Cinderella, and then I eventually got it in 3 different teams, okay? I'm sorry. It's on me.
What we have yet to see, and what you and a lot of college basketball fans are looking for, is that big double-digit upset, and we still haven't seen one of those, so I can give you that. But what we saw, a double-digit
Ohio State's
it is one of those, and everybody, and we're guilty of this. We both picked Ohio State. I was texting everybody. I was texting our fantasy group chat because we had the videos come out. We were playing the college football playoff. I played as Ohio State, and I was like, damn, this is easy. And if I was Julian Sane, my life would just be so easy. All I got to do is drop back, look for Jeremiah Smith. And he tried to do that. It wasn't even that. Here's the craziest part. That game is decided by a bubble screen. Yeah. Do you realize that? A bubble screen. A bubble screen that your All-American receiver absolutely puts forth a piss-poor effort on his block and doesn't even chase. You cannot tell me that Jeremiah Smith isn't fast enough to chase that cornerback down. Shout out to the dude from Miami, because that was a hell of a play, and he did everything right, and Miami's defense deserves all of the credit for getting them to this point.
First of all, has one of the best defensive players in the country, in Ruben Bain. He's one of the top edge rushers in this year's draft, and they are built in the trenches, right? They have arguably the number 1 offensive tackle also coming into this draft.
Yeah, I can't pronounce his last name. Polynesian as well, but
they have some studs in the trenches here. They have some absolute studs in the trenches here, and if you want to beat Ohio State, you're gonna have that.
Dude, they did the exact. You know what they did? They did the Michigan game plan. Come fight us in the trenches. You're not going to run the football. Our defensive line is going to shut out your stud freshman running back. I know he's named Bo Jackson, but that ain't Bo Jackson. That ain't Bo Jackson in the backfield. And we're going to get after your freshman quarterback and force him to make mistakes.
Ohio State lost 3 offensive linemen to the draft last year. They lost some bodies on the offensive draft. And you could tell that offensive line for Ohio State was shivering. They were shivering against Indiana in the Big Ten championship. Let alone now the first. Like I said, this back-to-back games where it was just poor games. poor games from the offensive line where they lost the trenches and eventually lost the game. Like I said, all kudos to Carson Beck and kudos to Miami because, like I said, Cristobal, we were talking about the ACC being fucking dead, and then here's Miami 1 win away, arguably probably favorited to make the national championship now.
But here's the other thing that I want to make sure we discuss. Up until this point, it was perfectly fine for us to say that Miami was mentally weak and not tough enough and doesn't do the things that they need to do to win in the postseason. Because up until this point, that's what they've been. Even under Mario Cristobal.
25 last 25 years they have, literally.
But do you know the difference this year? Every single person.
Michael Irvin on the sideline yelling at him every fucking play.
But speaking of Michael Irvin, Hope does the body good because that man still looks like he could go out there and run a few routes. He is still jacked.
Psycho.
Dude, he's coked out of his head. He's running lines on the sideline. Allegedly. I'm not going to say I'm going to put allegedly on there because obviously I don't know if that's true, but he's exhibiting the signs and he does have the past. But no, the difference with this Miami team is that on defense and on offense, there's somebody in your face every single play. The receivers for Miami block the shit out of people.
Oh, yeah.
Just as much as their offensive line. And you know what their offensive bread and butter is? How they got into so many of those third down and shorts where Carson Beck just has to get it right past the line of scrimmage or past the first down line or run it. And Carson Beck's not a mobile runner. They run duo on first and second down, which means that you get 6 double teams up front. And Coach Saban described them best. Miami's got a lot of wide asses. I love me some wide asses. And they just move themselves together and they just move the Ohio State defensive line. They just move people against their will.
Like I said, Carson Beck has really not had to do nothing crazy. And that was his problem at Georgia. And that was his problem the first year at Miami. He when he got down to the nitty gritty, just make the smart play and Miami's doing the right thing. Their running game's been incredible. Like I said, this Miami team, it's special. I didn't really think about it too much until I started looking at mock drafts and everything. I know my team's the number 1 seed in the playoffs. Okay, I'm sorry, I can still look at mock drafts and just seeing what's available out there. I'm like, wow, there's 6 Miami players projected to go in the first round. I'm like, oh, it's all fucking big boys up front on both sides of the ball. That's right. That's why
they've been recruiting some beef. They've been quietly building.
Chris Paul's a former offensive lineman, isn't he?
He is a former Miami offensive lineman, and to make that even put that point home even further. And he played under Jimmy Johnson, and Jimmy Johnson believed in building the trenches too. He did the same shit in Dallas. You think about that great offensive line they had blocking for Emmitt Smith. Is Emmitt Smith truly the greatest running back of all time? He was barely touched. He barely hit anybody that was in front of him. He got hit the most in his career in Arizona, and he's like, wow, this is what it's like not having 5 All-Pros in front of me. This is different.
5 All-Pros, Hall of Famers in front of me. It's crazy. Yeah, Miami's done, like I said, it's been incredible. And like I said, they're facing a team that we thought was dead in the fucking rights.
This is your Cinderella matchup because we're moving to the same side of that bracket. Ole Miss is meeting Miami in the semifinal, but Ole Miss, before they got there, how pissed off do you think Lane Kiffin is? I know that he's getting money. He got another paycheck from LSU because he's getting paid his performance bonuses, but he's sitting there in Baton Rouge. Trinidad Chambliss, if he gets another year of eligibility, is already committed to Ole Miss. He's not getting him. He's not getting any of these other players.
Well, the other thing is he apparently took the Washington quarterback away from a funeral, and basically he signed a $4 million contract with Washington, and now he's going to come play for him, which Washington is now suing. So that should be a fun little new thing that Lane Kiffin's worrying about instead of the dude is spiraling for a semifinal game.
I have not seen somebody spiral this badly. He's the pretty girl who thought she was going to win the breakup fast, and she's watching Pete Golding and this Ole Miss team. Remember, Pete Golding is not a guy that was ambitious and wanting to be a head coach. They did a full feature on him and asked him multiple times, did you want this job? Did you want to take over? He's like, hell no. If it was up to me, I would still be just the defensive coordinator. They would have elevated somebody else. But I love the players, and the reason why Ole Miss is here is because their quarterback is making special plays, but they believe so much in each other, and their coaching staff is giving the players the ownership over everything that they're doing. It's the talent of the players that's shining through, and the coaches are just there trying to hold everything together. Just keep this train on the tracks, and we'll be doing pretty well.
Yeah, that was my next question for you because, like I said, you watch more Ole Miss football this year with Lane Kiffin at the helm than I did. Does Lane Kiffin do this? Does Lane Kiffin beat Georgia? Does Lane Kiffin win the first round matchup? Do they do all that? Like I don't know.
It's an interesting question to ask because Lane Kiffin is widely considered one of the top play callers. Like if you're going to have a guy just call plays for you, he's the number one guy, number two guy that can call plays. But his teams always took on his personality, and he's somebody that gets frustrated when things don't work out perfectly. And what we're seeing with this, Ole Miss was making a lot of that final run on scramble drill chunk plays. Trinidad was running out of the pocket because Georgia, they don't have a good pass rush, but they were at least generating a little bit of pressure. And it looked like Seattle Russell Wilson, where he's doing loop-de-loops in the backfield. He finds a little bit of an opening, and he goes off and does what he wants to do and gets the ball down the field. But these guys are doing what they need to do in the big moments.
And I think, like I said, I don't know what Payne or Lane Kiffin did to affect this team so good that they're all shoe-in to make the playoff, even not even having a chance to make that SEC championship. They're like, they're in. Doesn't matter, they're in. But at the same time, I'm sitting here and I'm like, this team is just taking on the underdog. Like they've taken on the underdog, being like, you know what, we're going to have everyone count us out. We're going to be able to come up big and do the right thing. And Ole Miss is, like I said, proven everyone wrong. I don't think if you told me a month ago that Ole Miss and Miami was in the semifinal for the national championship, I would have said who got hurt, like which coach left the NFL, like what happened, like, and not Georgia and Ohio State going down in the same side of the bracket. So
yeah. Well, as you're listening to this show, that's when this game is going to be kicking off. So after you listen to us talk about it, hopefully it's as entertaining as I'm expecting it to be. Both teams have nothing to lose because they're playing with house money. I think that both programs can sit there with no ACC championship for Miami, no SEC championship for Ole Miss. You get a home playoff game for Ole Miss. Miami gets the road upset. They get the upset in the second round. Both these teams have had enough to make these successful seasons, but it's not going to feel that way if you lose. Either side is going to be majorly disappointed if you end up coming up short, and there's going to be nothing you can do to console them. And that's why sports are great. You get one shot. Eminem said it. One shot, one opportunity. This is everything you ever wanted.
And like I said, I was looking for my Cinderella. And Frank, I wouldn't call Ole Miss the Cinderella because they were good all year, but Miami definitely fits into that mold. Was Notre Dame a 10 seed too?
Notre Dame.
I remember that they didn't host a playoff game, or maybe they did. I don't remember last year.
They did host. They hosted Indiana in the first round. I think they were a 7 seed.
Maybe they were. So either way, this is, like I said, we're gonna have, if Miami makes a playoff, this is exactly what I wanted. So make the championship. So it's, like I said, I'm a Miami fan at heart, and having you and I have been there, like seeing the facilities, like I don't like wave the flag of the U and chant and watch every game like a diehard, but I would be lying to you if I wasn't rooting for them and love seeing, like I said, when Miami's football is good, college football is usually doing pretty good. That's all I'm going to say. College football is in a good state.
It's funny that it was Ohio State that they beat too, because the last time they were in a meaningful game was the national championship they got robbed against Ohio State for. So it felt like a little bit of comeuppance. The other side of the bracket, we're going to save Indiana for last because you saved the best for last. That's just what you do. Oregon and Texas Tech. This one turned out to be the biggest dud.
Fucking big leagues, Texas Tech.
This was just the biggest dud. And I love Joey McGuire, and I've given him a lot of praise. But with that praise, I feel like we can be fair in some criticism. You need to go to a different quarterback faster. You just need to. You need to when you are getting the performance that you got out of your defense, who, by the way, remember, they held Oregon to 12 points in the first half.
Yeah. Very good.
They were put in some horrible situations.
Oregon went for a fourth down like 5 times the first half, and they stopped them.
They get stops. Like, they're moving the football, but your defense is not giving up points. They're just giving up field goals, and you can't even muster a first down.
This is what I said last week is like when your defense when you're what happens when your defense is playing so good, your defense struggles a little bit. Can your offense respond? And Texas Tech's offense could not respond, not even in the slightest.
There wasn't even a whimper. I believe they're the first team to get shut out in the quarterfinals.
Are they the first team to be shut out in the college football playoff? Like I'm serious.
That's also a very real possibility that they're the first team in the history of the 12-team bracket to be shut out.
Field goal is nuts.
They were never even close to attempt a field goal. That's how crazy this is.
Just get like put 3 plays together. I was like,
No.
I didn't realize. I was like,
I'm not gonna do it.
Together. No, I'm not gonna do it. Like I was like, come on, do something. Right?
Run
Make
the
this a
football.
game.
Run the
Open,
football.
do
Use your
something.
offensive line.
I mean, obviously, Oregon's
Get a new
defense
quarterback in there.
Oregon's
Put your
defense
running
is
back
very-
at quarterback.
Oregon's defense is very good. They're not this godly team that the defense and the unit that Texas Tech made them out to be.
And Texas
So-
Tech also, speaking of a team that has some sneaky NFL prospects, they have a couple of receivers that are going to be first and second round picks with day 1 and day 2 guys. It was an organizational. That's the thing about this is Dan Lanning's swan song.
University.
I know it is. I know. I get it. But I say organizational because Dan Lanning gives the best speeches outside of NFL head coaches. And he puts together a theme for everything. I loved listening to his speech that he gives his team before playing USC this year. You're wearing black because you're going to a Trojan funeral. Like he challenged his defense because everybody, for rightly so, you have David Bailey, you have guys on the interior that are all going to be playing on Sundays. This Texas Tech front seven, Jacob Rodriguez, who was a Heisman finalist. You had Roberts, who had 2 picks in the Big 12 championship game. This defense for Texas Tech is what they hang their hat on. And Dan Lanning took that, and in the words of Michael Jordan, made that personal. And you know who responded? Mateo Uiagalelei and Tuioti and Betcher and the cornerback who ended up.
This Oregon team is so good. And like I said, last year, it just felt like they had too much pressure. I'll be honest with you. Oregon's is a better football team when the pressure's off and they are the underdogs.
In every situation.
They thrive on the fact that they're not expected to win. They're not expected to win this weekend. They thrive on that. Absolutely thrive on that. And like I said, they've done such a good job. Just like I said, Dante Moore is going to be a top 5 pick in the draft. He'll be the second quarterback, if not the first argument for the first quarterback taken off the board in next year's draft. This team has so much talent up and down the board. Their running game really got going too. Oregon is showing why Big Ten football is still what it is, and Big 12 is falling behind now as the 4th conference because look what the ACC is doing, right? So it's the Big 12 and what Texas Tech did. They're going to have to start. The one problem that Big 12 schools are struggling with, and Miami figured this out, and that's why they beat Ohio State. If you want to be in a Big Ten, if you want to be a Big Ten team or be an SEC team, you have to have big boys.
You need size.
You need big boys.
And you need multiple layers of size. Your rotations have to be also big as.
You have to have big motherfuckers that your quarterback can barely see over because they are just going to protect the shit out of whoever's behind them and will move people. Like I said, you have to have big-ass people movers. And the Big 12 and Texas Tech did not have that. Did not have that.
Their offense is still set up like an air raid system. Their linemen are skinny, and they did what they could. But Uiagalelei and Tuioti and Bear Alexander in the middle, like it's just the size difference and the fact that they didn't have to rotate. I tip my hat to Texas Tech's defense because they played damn near 90 plays.
Yeah,
90 plays, and you gave up 23 points. Every right in that performance says you should have a chance to win that game, yet you weren't even close.
You had 3 plays and then to catch your breath and then right back out there. like 3 plays.
And it's not like Oregon is going 3 and out either. Oregon, no matter what, they're getting 6, 7, 8 plays
and they're
to drive.
still running you up and down the field. So, yeah, it was just a perfect storm for Oregon, and they did a great job.
Yeah, no, and a couple fumbles right after you get a big stop on 4th down that Texas Tech's offense put out there. It's you need to make a change, and coaches do it all the time where they don't see the big picture. But I feel like a quarterback change would have been warranted at that point, probably about midway through the second quarter, or at least at halftime. The other side of the quarterfinals was the most impressive beatdown. It still baffles the mind of. It baffles the mind of everybody living in Alabama. Everybody that's in Tuscaloosa right now is still sitting there wondering, like, wait, that's real? We got beat 38-3 by Indiana?
Oh, hold on. Say that last part again.
That's real. That's real. We got beat by 38-3 by Indiana?
Indiana. Let's put some respect on his fucking name. Kirsten Day is the best coach of college football. Like, that's not even a conversation anymore. Like he was making DeBoer look like a little baby. He
wiped his nuts on his chin, and then he rubbed them up the side of his face, and then dragged them across his forehead.
I texted
Thank
Jeremy.
you very much,
like,
sir.
I texted Jeremy. I was like, I've never seen a dude more angry about being up 40 points in my life. outside of Nick Saban.
Dude,
Like that dude.
When they did that stupid ass punt formation with Ty Simpson in there, and he's like, "Mother,
you think you're cute?
Me?
You think you're cute? Your organization, I called it an organization. Your university will be calling me in 2 years when your ass gets fired to come coach for them. Watch.
They called me earlier this season before I signed my giant ass extension at Indiana, and I said, no, I'd rather beat you.
Exactly.
I'd rather put the beat down on you. And I know I coached there before, but that ain't Saban on the sideline. And I'm going to show you what Saban looks like. You want to see the Saban coaching tree? Go watch Kurt Cignetti.
Cignetti is a fucking dog and just a fucking lunatic. And you need to be. You have to be because like I said, to coach a team, and like I said, I'm only going to say this for another couple of months until they win a national championship. Indiana was a fucking nothing in football. An absolute zero.
Worse than nothing. The most amount of losses in college football history as a program.
Our whole fucking lives are horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Jeremy would tell me about how they would show up they would go to football games while he was in Indiana. This was 6 years ago now, by the way. Show up to games in Indiana and watch a half of football and be like, it's just not worth it. Let's go. The stadium would be a quarter full by halftime. And now you have the greatest coach in college football right now. You have a quarterback who is the salt of the earth.
He's the perfect guy. Did you see he brought his Heisman Trophy in an Amazon box to his church on Christmas so that everybody could see it?
This dude is Tim Tebow. But just a rocket of an arm,
and knows where to go with the
rocket
football.
of an arm, a rocket, it's an absolute rocket.
Oh, and I don't want to skip over this. You know who was voted MVP of the Rose Bowl? Coonigan, the fucking guard, offensive line, baby. The big ass people movers are getting some love. And by the way, everybody else, Surratt, Cooper, Mendoza, as soon as he's announced as the MVP, they're over there patting him on the head like this. Not only are they the most well-oiled machine, they're the most disciplined. They love beating people by more and more points. If they can score 50, they are going to. And it doesn't matter if it's JMU, and it doesn't matter if it's Illinois, who's ranked, and you're going into their house. They put 50 on the Illini. And Illinois was good this year. That wasn't a bad team.
Yeah. Think about this. 5 years ago, and if I showed you this game 5 years ago and take the logos off the helmets, logos off the field, logos off everything, you don't see any. You just see the red and white for both teams. Who do you think is fucking who? Like seriously, 2021, the year of with Devontae Smith and that crazy Alabama team, right?
That was also one of the more successful years in Indiana football, by the way, where they won 6 games.
With Penix, exactly. Penix, yeah. And that great season for him. Show me this tape 5 years ago, and I'm like, yeah, wow, Alabama's really this good still? And you're like, no. It's like, no.
Those boys are from Bloomington.
Those kids come from a basketball school, a historically basketball school. That's Indiana.
Who's yours? No, they deserve all the credit in the world. And
they're one of also they're one of 8 fucking teams that have won their first round matchup after having a bye. 1 in 7.
Yeah.
1 in 7 first round bye teams are Indiana.
They're not smelling any of their success. Cignetti is doing everything right in the locker room to make sure that this team stays hungry, and they're not satisfied until they get another one. And oh, by the way, I know that we're not a portal show and we don't pay attention to where everybody's going. They've already picked up another quarterback for next season, and the top tight end from Texas is flipped and is going other places. They picked up like 3 5-star recruits in the transfer portal during this playoff run.
You're the only thing that would derail this. You're ready for it, right? You're ready for it.
He's not going anywhere.
No. Like because it's a conversation that's gonna happen. I don't know if he's gonna leave, but what if Mark Davis calls Chris Cignetti?
Yeah,
that's the only way. That's the only way. He says, "Do you want to come with your boy to Vegas and try to do something special in the NFL?" And I don't think he will.
No, he shouldn't.
He should. Let me put it this way. He should entertain it and make Indiana jack the price up more and say, "Give me more money. I don't care."
All he has to do right now is walk into the office and say, "Ohio State. Oh, let's add another 0 to that contract, Mr. Cincinnati. Michigan. Let's add another 0.
No, 2 zeros and a comma.
Keep going. 2 zeros and a comma.
Just keep
Tell
adding
me the other
zeros.
schools. Tell me the other schools, and we'll see how many zeros we need to add. And that's another one. Then that's another one.
Then once you're done with schools, then add NFL teams. And be like, Raiders, add another 0. Ravens, add another 0. Like, just go down the list of NFL
Browns,
teams.
add another 0.
Add another 0.
Steelers, because he's a Pittsburgh boy, add another 0, please. For the love of God, add another. Indiana, if I will start donating to your NIL fund if the Pittsburgh Steelers try and poach Kurt Signetti from you. I cannot deal with that in the NFL. I don't want to deal with that shit.
And I wonder because let's be honest with ourselves, this happened in our lifetimes. Nick Saban left LSU for Miami. That went horribly.
They were close to making a wild card. If he would have stayed, it'd be interesting to see what he did. He was only there for a season.
It wasn't like everything that he was at LSU, though.
He was coming off a national championship at LSU and went mediocre in the NFL.
All I'm saying is, if you're Signetti, you may look at that being like,
why would you even try it?
I was like, I don't even want to worry about that. I'm gonna have the best recruiting class already in the country coming up because everyone wants to play for me because I'm that good. Like people are going to Bloomington, fucking Indiana, and being like, yeah, I want to play here because of this guy. This guy's going to win me a national championship, and he's going to get me drafted. And they're saying that about Kurt Signetti and the Indiana Hoosiers, not Alabama, not fucking. They're talking about the Indiana Hoosiers. It's crazy.
But also, by the way, not Georgia. We were spending so much time talking about Ole Miss, we forgot to mention Georgia. Kirby Smart, I don't know what he did, but that wasn't the Kirby Smart that coaches against Nick Saban or Alabama. He was playing that game not to lose and gave Ole Miss all you need is a first down conversion. Put it in the hands of your quarterback. He's there for 3 years. He's a 2-year starter. Put it in the hands of your quarterback and see what happens. Don't do a give up field goal. Don't do a give up punt, and don't play not to lose. Play to win at least. Damn. Let's get into the actual semifinals matchups and we'll make predictions. We talked about these games kind of ipso facto as we've been going, but let's spend a little bit more time on the Big Ten rematch. It's the number 3 team in the Big Ten, Oregon, versus the number 1 team, Big Ten champion, Indiana. Rematch of what we saw earlier this season. I want to point out what we said last year about Ohio State. That early season loss in Autzen Stadium against Oregon was the best thing that ever happened to them. And what it looks like right now with Oregon is the loss at Autzen Stadium to Indiana after having the lead and ending up losing it on a miraculous last-second drive that was one of Mendoza's Heisman moments. It's been the best thing for them. And they're in the position to play spoiler. They're a 3.5-point underdog. Dan Lanning is going to have oogles of bulletin board material, and his speech is probably going to make me run through a wall on Friday night. This is the second semifinal game that's being played. What are your thoughts, and who are you predicting makes it into the national championship from this one?
I'm predicting the Hoosiers. I just rode Signetti's hog way too long to not pick him, is all I'm going to say. Oregon's, like I said, it's going to be the number 1 versus number 2 quarterbacks drafted in this year's draft headed face off against each other. And Oregon loves every second part about being the underdog. I just think that this Indiana defense is nothing. Like we thought the Texas Tech defense was very good. This Indiana defense is better, if not, it is as good, if not better, than what Texas Tech is, and they have
way more discipline,
way more discipline, and has as much firepower, and way more firepower than what Texas Tech did as offensively. Oregon is going to have to rely on getting to the quarterback, really pressuring Mendoza, putting him on his back foot, putting him in uncomfortable situations. I would not be surprised if the winner of this is the national champion. I think Oregon could go on this run if they beat Indiana, beating the opposite side. I think Indiana obviously should be a favorite over other team on the other side too. I just think this is going to be a nitty-gritty game, and I think the Heisman winner and I hate saying this because it makes me sound like I'm downing Dan Lanning, but I am taking the better coach. Dan Lanning is a hell of a fucking coach. He is so good. He has done great things at Oregon. He is a motivator. Signetti is a fucking X's and O's fuck you guy. So it's a little different in that sense. So give me the Hoosiers in this game.
This is going to be a knockdown drag out. I think that it could very well end in a 0-0 or a 10-7 score at halftime because both defenses are going to be very good and get after the other offense. Indiana showed against Alabama that they can be patient. I see Oregon kind of like what we saw in that game. I know Mendoza threw a pick six, and that was about to be the reason why Oregon beat the Hoosiers, and Indiana was going to have to answer all these questions. But I feel like the first team that's going to flinch in that big defensive struggle is not going to be Indiana, but it's going to be Oregon. and they're going to go for something. Dante Moore is going to try and force a football downfield, or their defense is going to try and blitz into a gap that they're not supposed to be in, and Hemby is going to find an opening and run for 30 yards and a touchdown like he did 3 times against Alabama. That's the other thing too. Mendoza only threw for 196 yards, and they ran the football 40 times in the second half. So we don't even know what they're fully capable of and what they've planned for this playoff run, because they went into show pony mode midway through the second quarter after they got that fumble from Ty Simpson. So I do think that it's going to be a very tightly contested game. If Oregon doesn't make any mistakes, I can see this one being an overtime matchup. I truly don't know how you call one of these two teams truly better than the other, except that Indiana has been 100% successful and Oregon is sitting right there at like 97.6.
99%. They won 1 or 2 mistakes. Like it's a heavyweight matchup.
And on the other side, we've talked about it, but whoever is going to actually take the most risks. So in Indiana, Oregon, I think it's who's going to stick to their game plan and not try and force something. In Ole Miss, Miami, Carson Beck, I think, is going to have a moment where he has to push the ball down the field. The defense is going to have to get after Trinidad Chambliss and get him down on the ground. Or on the Ole Miss side for the Rebels, you're going to need a last-second drive and go down there and put the ball in the end zone. Same things that you've gone through the entire 2 rounds of the playoffs so far, but whoever is able to last a little bit longer. I see a lot of points in this game. I don't know. I know that Miami's defense hasn't given up any points, but I just feel like with the moment and the pressure, I could see a possible, not necessarily shootout, but mini shootout where it's 25-27.
Ole Miss had a hell of a shootout against Georgia. So I don't know if they can replicate that again and come out on the other side is the next conversation. I just think, like I said, I'm going to lead Miami here. I think Miami, what I talked about them doing the previous round, they're going to move Ole Miss around. Like Ole Miss has got a great team, great skill players, great. I do not believe in their offensive line. I do not believe in their defensive line to be able to stand up to what Miami does on the front seven. So that's why I lean Miami here. Carson Beck has lost some big games, but also won some big games. So I think that adds a little bit of the coolness factor of what's like to win a semifinal playoff game that Chambliss doesn't have. But I'll take the U. I'll take the U, and I'll have a U versus my Indiana national championship.
I'm predicting that it's going to be. I would love to see it be the Rebels, but I do think at some point the situation with Lane Kiffin, and there's been good points made. They've been dealing with this since like week 7 of the season when he first started entertaining other offers. So, and like I've also mentioned, their big players are committed. If they're coming back for another season, they're coming back to Ole Miss. So they might be that tight of a team. But the size difference and what we talked about, the waves of size that Miami is going to be able to throw, I think is going to be too much for Ole Miss, even though you're coming out of the SEC. Miami is one of those few teams that have built themselves like a Big Ten or an SEC team. So I'm going to go with or Indiana and Ole Miss as well, even though these are neither of the two teams that I really predicted at the very beginning of the playoffs.
Well, yeah, both Indiana and Miami, you mean?
Yeah. I initially was thinking that it was going to be Indiana, Ohio State. We're going to get a Big Ten rematch. So at least we don't have that. We get a new matchup no matter what's going to happen after these semifinal rounds. Quickly, let's wrap up the pick'em. And I need to give you your kudos. You won again.
You had a rough week.
It was the worst week of the season, and it was the worst time to have the worst week of the season. But that's the other thing. It was a truly week 18 thing. I texted you like midway through the afternoon games and said, congratulations, because I already lost on Saturday. I lost the first game on Sunday, and the Bengals are about to give up a field goal to the Browns, so I'm going to go 0-3. Oh, why not go 0-4? Why not have the Raiders actually win a game because it doesn't matter for them to get the number 1 overall pick, and Pete Carroll wants to end his coaching career with a win? Of course, why not?
Yeah, and look, like I said, for those that are hating on me, I picked 4 games that meant something. Okay, all 4 games outside of the Chargers, Broncos against the Chargers, which, like I said,
and that was one of the closer games for you to lose.
Closer games for me to lose. Like, I had to ethically pick that game, but I picked all games that had things on the line. Okay, and I will say I picked one right, the first one right, which obviously didn't work out in my way because I said the Buccaneers would win the division. Well, they didn't because Tyler Shuck didn't show up.
Because one of my teams didn't show up. Yeah,
nice. Tyler Shuck didn't shuck up. Shut up. Shuck up. Tyler Shuck didn't shuck up. There you go.
He got himself shucked up. Yeah.
Yeah, he got himself shucked up.
Possibly cost himself a starting job for the next season, and New Orleans might actually think that they need another quarterback. How funny is that Atlanta beats the shit out of New Orleans, causes Tampa to not be able to make the playoffs, and they still fire their head coach.
I don't. Atlanta may be the worst coaching vacancy. As weird as that sounds, it may be the worst coaching vacancy because that team doesn't have a quarterback. Kirk Cousins ain't it. Michael Penix sure as heck can't stay healthy. They don't have a first round pick. They don't. They have a bunch of young guys. They're gonna have to start to pay. Like it is a rough situation in Atlanta right now. Is all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I don't think that it's a good one. Final records for the 2026 season. Nico, your champion, finishes 54-14. I finished with a 47-20-1 record. Thank you, Browns and Packers, for deciding that there doesn't need to be a winner during one of those weeks. I've mentioned it a few times, but if you were betting with us, hopefully you made a little bit of money because those are two damn impressive records for the regular season.
Those are very good records. That's nothing to be mad about.
That's the other seasons that I've lost, I got trounced, and you had to like really pick games out of left field. This one was true talent, and hats off to you. You had the better talent at the end of the season, and your games ended up working out. But it's time to get into the playoff picks.
To be fair, am I 4-1?
You are 4-1, yes.
All right, just wanted to make sure that stat gets thrown out there.
Remember when we used to pick all 16 games every single weekend, and then my brain got broken trying to do all the numbers? I don't know. Yeah. Here's the thing. The math was so hard the first 3 years of the show, Nico. I don't know who truly won or lost.
We picked every fucking bowl game, okay? And I came in last. I came in last place in all those, okay? So there's obviously a person on this show that watched NFL like every single week, which I know you do, but you watch college football religiously, and I don't watch it as religiously as I do the NFL. So obviously there's a slight way of how this works out, is all I'm saying.
I also teach young kids, so I can kind of read the mood swings of 21 to 25-year-olds, and Nico is much better at reading professional athletes.
Exactly. And if we did a college football pick-em, which maybe we think about next year, I don't know, maybe throw in 1 or 2 college football games into an NFL slate and think about that.
You can do a Survivor League for sure.
Yeah, like you would absolutely cook me. Is all I'm gonna say. I would have no chance in hell of winning that.
FCS Survivor League. Let's do it. Let's put it together. Come on, why not? It's Super Wild Card Weekend. Might as well fix the spelling error so I can put that back up on the screen because card has a D in it. Now we go. There we go. Super Wild Card Weekend. I've decided that these games, if we get them right, are going to be worth 2 points. This is our first round, and we are predicting
as
all
we go
along.
Rounds. Let me make this preface because I know people are going to be pissed about why the hell did you do this matchup? How did you do this matchup? Like we are giving points for teams that we picked correctly to move on to the next round.
Yes.
So basically, if there was a different matchup in the second round that we didn't have correctly, but we picked the right winner of moving on to the next round, it counts. Okay. And like I said, I think there's some very good variance in this. I think there's some obvious picks here, but there's very good variance in all of these. And like I said, I'll say this one more time. Denver Broncos are still the number 1 fucking team in football, ladies and gentlemen. Let me remind you all of that. And I'm scared shitless of who we're gonna fucking play. Is all I'm gonna say. Yeah. It's almost worse sitting at home during Wild Card Weekend and being like, "Wow, I don't have to. I can have a stress-free football weekend." To know next week is probably gonna be more stressful. So it's not fun in that sense.
That was the best thing about the Bengals playing Wild Card Weekend is we had to get on a roll, and then once we did, I was like, "Damn, this is fun. This could actually be something." I didn't have to wait. It's almost like when you're bench pressing and you're able to bounce it off your chest. The Broncos are sitting there with it on their chest right now doing a pause reps like, come on, let's go. We're not talking about the Broncos side first. We're going to stick with the NFC first, and we'll go through our matchups as we see them fit. Both picking the Rams over the Panthers, and I believe that's probably because the Panthers are here by default. They are here because the Falcons took care of business. And they did not.
Damn good team. And the Rams are one of the best teams in football. Unfortunately,
the Rams are going to play a very big part on my NFC bracket.
Also mine, by the way. Also mine. So don't worry, it's in both of ours.
I'm interested to see why you're going with the Packers over the Bears, knowing that the two teams ended their seasons in different ways. The Bears did end up having an unsuccessful end of their season, but they weren't as injured as the Packers were. They're not going to have a quarterback that's coming off of injury. And I do trust Ben Johnson way more than I've ever trusted a Bears coach in the playoffs. So what gave you the Packers over Chicago in that last matchup?
look, it's a Packers versus Bears. And I understand what their last matchup was and how the Bears had this miraculous comeback. I
think both games this season were decided by 6 points total.
I think Micah Parsons would have helped this team a lot. I think
So
that
much.
would have made a huge difference in this game.
They probably aren't the 7 seed if they had Micah Parsons.
Exactly. They probably are in the conversation for the division. The Bears don't run away with the division. I don't honestly, this is a game where it's a pick 'em for me. I think the Bears could be the last year's Commanders to me. They could easily be the last year's Commanders to me where they go on a run, except the Commanders went on the road 3 straight games. I just feel like the Packers have their number, and it's just a Bears things to do, isn't it? It's a Bears thing to do where you lose to the Packers in the playoffs. It's not necessarily because of who's on the field, because I think Ben Johnson's done a hell of a job. I know he's done a hell of a job. Caleb Williams has proved everyone wrong. He's been great this year too. I just feel like it's a Packers game to lose. I don't know. And I don't think the Bears are there yet to be able to put them at that slate above the Packers in terms of how good of a football team they are. In terms of how good they are at the end of the year, yes, obviously the Bears are very good. They won the division. I just don't think in terms of that Super Bowl contenders, they are on the same tier as the Packers to me. They could win some frisky games, but the Packers are going to do the exact same thing. And when you put them on the same tier, I have to give the edge to the older brother. I'm sorry. I have to.
They do own Chicago, and that has to be changed. This could be a step in that direction.
This could buck the trend entirely. This could end the cycle. This is the cycle-ending game right here. This is the cycle-ending game.
What I'm considering is the Packers and the Bears are struggling on defense right now, but for different reasons. The Bears, I think, just have an untalented defense who rely on takeaways. They have no pass rush. They have barely any front seven. All they do is rely on the ability to take the football away. And the Packers, if they had health, they would be a much better defense than what they are. I am banking on turnovers coming in bunches, and I feel like Chicago's defense is going to give them this game, and I'm predicting a Chicago upset and heartbreak in the divisional round. I don't necessarily it'll be even worse if this works out the way that I'm predicting, where if the Bears win this weekend and beat their big brother and go into the divisional round, probably hosting another game because they ended up getting the 2 seed over the Eagles and then lose, that's going to be the most heartbreak for Chicago. So it's not that I'm giving you faith. I just also want to see how mad can we get you. I'm rage baiting you a little bit, Chicago fans. See what happens about it. We have our last game is also different on this one. Eagles versus 49ers. Eagles is 3 seed. The Niners, the 5, after losing at home against Seattle in their red and black uniforms. 49ers wearing red and black. Why do you have the 49ers beating the Eagles?
I am full on rage baiting the city of Philadelphia. Let me just put that out there, okay? After all the bullshit I heard this week from Jokic ducking Embiid and the Sixers are better than Nuggets and how the Sixers are always our Super Bowl and blah blah blah, for our elite 9, our horrible 9 players to go into Philly and fucking beat them, okay? I am doing this out of pure spite. I don't think either of these teams can win a Super Bowl. I'll be honest with you. I think the 49ers are too badly injured, and I think the Eagles will shoot themselves in the foot, like the city of Philadelphia usually does. So I am going to take the 49ers here because I think McCaffrey, fully healthy, will fucking cook. I don't think this defense for the Eagles on the back end has struggled in some games at the end of the year, and frankly, McCaffrey could be going having the likes of Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall cooking. I think could be a huge massive thing. And I think this defense for the 49ers, with Nick Bosa, with the talent they have, I think can stop. Okay, never mind. Not Nick Bosa. Whoever the hell they have on defense.
Their defense is more decimated than Green Bay's defense.
True, but let me remind everybody, this is entirely a spite pick, okay? So I am doing this out of spite. I may be an idiot for here doing this. I'm sorry, but Eagles fans are not winning a Super Bowl this year. Give me the 49ers.
I also don't have the Eagles going all the way to the Super Bowl, but I do think that their defense is going to be good enough to beat the 49ers because that's what we just saw on Saturday night. I'm going to go with the recent trends at the end of the season, and you can say that they didn't have people playing. But unless Brock Purdy puts on Superman's cape, I do think that the Eagles are going to be able to put this one in a
He
blender.
does do that during the playoffs.
He has done it before. I'm not saying that he can't, but the Eagles defense has shown to be able to put people in a blender. And do I have to remind people what happened the last time these two teams played in the NFC playoffs? You ended with 0 quarterbacks. Not one, not two. You had 0 left. McCaffrey was warming up his shoulder like, I don't think I can do this.
I played quarterback.
Ready.
Let me give me a chance here.
Running down our lists, I have the Rams over the Panthers, the Eagles over the 49ers, and the Bears over the Packers in this week's wild card matchups. You have the Rams over the Panthers as well, but you are going with the 49ers over the Eagles and the Packers over the Bears on the NFC side. I'm going to give you the AFC bracket pulled up. Before we get into the actual matchups, Nico, I want to know who you're most afraid of. What team gives you the most worry that you may have to see in the upcoming weeks?
It's 1,000% Buffalo. It's not even close as fucking Buffalo, and it's not necessarily because they're not the best. They're the best team, and this other thing. It's Josh Allen. Like this playoffs, this playoff situation there we have in. There's one quarterback that scares me the most. Every other quarterback, I feel like we can contain. I'm serious when I say that. As a Broncos fan and a Broncos defense stand here, I think we can handle Stroud, we can handle Rodgers, we can handle Lawrence, we can handle May. I know he's going to be the MVP. We can handle May, okay? We can handle Herbert. We've done it already. I don't know if Josh Allen is handleable. Handleable. That was a fucking.
Their running game has also been very good, and the Broncos defense on the running side has been iffy at times.
And the worst part about all of this is that they're the 6th seed.
Yes.
So that means if the Patriots, which I think they will, the Patriots knock off the Chargers, it'll be Buffalo rolling into town if they beat Jacksonville, obviously. I mean, ideally, as a Broncos fan, New England, Houston, and Jacksonville win, and we have to beat a first or second year quarterback or third year quarterback, and not MVP winner or a guy or another MVP winner in Aaron Rodgers or a guy in Justin Herbert. But yeah, the Bills give me the biggest scare. And I think that's rightfully so. In the playoffs, like I said, without the big names, the AFC, there's one big name, and it's Josh Allen, and that's the big fish in the pond. And what I've seen from Josh the past couple of years and the playoffs and going forward, I think he is chomping at the bits for that opportunity. And I know that he feels it and I think Buffalo feels it more than anything, that if not now, when? Because you're not going to get another playoff scenario without Mahomes, without Burrow, without Lamar Jackson, without all of those quarterbacks also in the field, right? You have a field with a bunch of young quarterbacks in the field and Justin Herbert and Aaron Rodgers. Okay, so and both those, Rodgers on the back end, the last couple of years of his career, and Herbert has never won a playoff game. Okay, in 6 years. So Josh Allen is the biggest scare in the Buffalo Bills for me.
I wouldn't sleep on the Jacksonville Jaguars. So we're talking about the Bills and Jaguars matchup. Nico's picking the Bills. I'm going to go with Jacksonville and Liam Cohen. And it would have been different if the Broncos and Jaguars game had gone differently. But that was an impressive showing. That was on the road. That was the Broncos defense at the height of its powers on the 11-game winning streak, being able to win games this way and that way. And Trevor Lawrence and Brian Robinson, Travis Etienne, the defense played great. It's a sneaky good team because you don't think about Jacksonville and they're a flyover city in the NFL. I do think they have every right to win this game at home.
City. No one really flies that way unless you're going to Miami. So not necessarily a flyover, but a lookover city.
Yeah, you know about Jacksonville because of the fan boats and the alligators, but you don't really know anything else about Jacksonville because they don't even have a theme park. They're one of the few cities in Florida that don't have a theme park.
Yeah, I mean, like I just think Jacksonville is a little too high in their horses. Is all I'm going to say. They are a very good football team. Liam Cohen has done a great job with that football team. He has been one of the best hires from this past season. I just think that if you could slow down Trevor Lawrence, if you can slow down this passing game with the three-headed monster of Jacoby Myers, Brian Thomas, and Parker Washington, and add in Brenton Strange in that, and get to Trevor Lawrence, I think this team is very, very beatable. Obviously, they kicked our ass. I'm not sugarcoating that. They did. But I still
tell me who has the better pass rush, the Denver Broncos or the Buffalo Bills?
It's definitely us. It's definitely us.
So the fact that they were able to keep him healthy, and he's running again. He's athletic again. So he's kind of putting himself, because he's just as big as Josh Allen maybe a little bit lighter, but he's just as tall and strong. That's another guy that you're like, I don't know if you can guard him because he can throw the ball anywhere and he can move the pocket with his feet. That is a dangerous team. They just, once they get a couple playoff wins, people are going to start taking them seriously because remember, they were counted out with Blake Bortles at quarterback and won 2 playoff games.
They also had that 20-point comeback against Herbert in the playoffs 2 years ago.
And that was Trevor Lawrence that did that.
Trevor Lawrence too did that. So like I said, they're no slouch over. I just feel like Buffalo is more primed and ready for it, and Jacksonville. Like I said, they're playing the best team out of the divisional or the wild card teams. Excuse me. I think Buffalo is by far the best team, and I just feel that, like I said, Jacksonville is a good team. They got great defense. They're doing things the right way. I just don't think that. I think that Buffalo is primed and ready for a long run, and Jacksonville is maybe 1 or 2 years away from that. And this year's not the year for that.
But how scary do they become if they end up knocking off Buffalo?
Oh, very scary.
If they do what their record and their seed says what they should do, that is probably the boogeyman of the entire rest. Everybody on the AFC side and the NFC side. I don't think anybody would want to see Jacksonville if they prove they can beat Buffalo.
I'll be honest with you. I would argue and say Houston's more scary to me. Houston's defense is fucking terrifying. Let me put it that way.
Their edge rushers are like the scariest thing that I could ever think of.
Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson are just feeding off each other, just eating quarterbacks alive. And you have Stingley back there just basically getting free picks all he wants because
Al Shahir and everybody. That's a team. We said on Miami, everybody ends the play with a helmet in somebody's face. Houston's defense is so physical, they're hurting each other. I was watching that Chargers game, and some dude came in at the end of the pile and knocked the shit out of Shahir and knocked him out of the game for like 2 quarters. It's like, that's your own guy. That's your brother. What are you doing?
The Texans scare me the most. And let's be honest with ourselves. Let's pray for Aaron Rodgers because that man, I don't know, like
I'm gonna break my foot off in your ass.
He is going to be absolutely ransacked, run amok and bamboozled. He better pray he gets out of that stadium without a walking boot on or without being injured, and he can just sail off into his ayahuasca sunset.
Let's hope that left wrist doesn't snap in half the other way.
And the thing with Houston that is worrisome is that when their offense isn't going and CJ Stroud isn't going and Nico Collins is getting everyone looking at him, they have no running game. Woody Marks is a good running back. He's not doing anything. Joe Mixon is the third string running back at this point. They have 0 running game right now in Houston. So it is a big worrisome because that's a big, when it comes to playoffs, you don't have a running game. It is a big problem because you can't control the field. Your defenses will stay on the field. It becomes a big problem. So that's my biggest worry about Houston. This defense should manhandle the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like congratulations, Tyler Loop missed the field goal and you won the division. Congrats, you held on. Your head coach held on for another week or another year because your kicker missed a field goal. Because if that kick goes the other way and goes in, Tomlin's probably the one we're talking about in the coaching cycle, not Harbaugh. So, yeah, I mean, like, Steelers happier here. Thanks for coming.
I agree with you. I think Houston's going to win, and it's because the defense will absolutely manhandle and eat Aaron Rodgers alive. The Patriots, is it just because the Chargers are the Chargers? You don't actually think that the Patriots are.
I could have put any team's logo there, and I would have, and the Chargers would Charger. Justin Herbert, ladies and gentlemen, Bo Nix has made it farther in the playoffs than Justin Herbert already. He hasn't even won a playoff game yet. He made it to the divisional round. Justin Herbert's Chargers has been surpassed by Drake May, by Bo Nix, by CJ Stroud, by Trevor Lawrence, by everyone.
By Joe Burrow, by Josh Allen.
Everybody. And Herbert has done nothing.
Who else can we throw in here?
Soon, Lamar Jackson. All of them have won a playoff game, or at least made the divisional round.
Baker Mayfield, I know he's in the NFC now, but he went further in the playoffs than Justin Herbert did.
And the Chargers are talking all this shit. We'll be back. You're not getting past New England. You're not. Tony Jefferson, you can loudmouth all the fuck you want. You're not. Your offensive line is horrid. Absolutely horrid. And if you somehow beat Drake May and the Patriots, please come back to Denver and I'll have Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper take your head off. the Chargers are as badly injured as anybody. Their offensive line is piss poor right now because of the injuries. Herbert is just having to make plays out of his ass because he can. This team is not going into New England in fucking January and winning a playoff game. I don't know what the history between these two teams in the playoff is, but I would assume that the Chargers haven't won more than one playoff game since Tom Brady stepped foot in the league in New England. So 25
I believe
years.
that could be correct.
I don't think it's happened once. Maybe it has happened once with Philip Rivers.
No, I don't think that they did. I know that they made it to I don't even know if that was a playoff game. No, they made it to the Super Bowl. They made it to the Super Bowl against Steve Young and the 49ers.
They will not be going to New England and beating them. Okay, New England is, like I said, New England had an easy schedule. Let's not lie about that. But they are fucking dismantling teams. They are taking
don't make any mistakes.
They are dismantling teams.
Just beating the shit out of people.
Vrabel has that. Drake May is going to be the fucking MVP. Okay, like because he is playing flawless football with a great running game with Henderson, who's been going incredibly. Hunter Henry's been great in the passing game. Obviously, Stephon Diggs has really elevated that team to elevated Drake May's passing game too. Sorry about it, LA. Have a waste of a week off because you're going to be going home and New England will be manhandling you.
Yeah, we're not.
I'll be honest. This may be the biggest blowout of the weekend.
I can see that being it. I can see that being the case. And the Patriots, I think, they wanted the 1 seed for the rest, but they were also fine once they knew that they weren't going to get it. They wanted to play last week. They're in shape. They're in condition. You're not going to get them to overlook you. They want to absolutely embarrass you and show why they are the 2 seed in the AFC and why we're on a collision course back to 2016. It maybe. The only game that we have.
And for those that are saying that, well, Nico's a Broncos fan. He has to hate the Chargers. I'm sorry, what Chargers fan is saying that? Because I don't know of that person. Have you seen that person? I don't know.
I know of one that's like a background producer on one of the shows I listen to, but he's the only Chargers fan that I've ever heard.
I know of one too, and luckily he's a Thunder fan. So he got lucked out because he won a championship there, and I couldn't hear the end of it. But that's the only one I know. They don't exist. They don't.
There's more Jaguar fans than Charger fans. Let's put it that way.
Oh, not even close. Absolutely.
And the Jaguars came around in 1993, and the Chargers have been here since the 70s. There's a lot more that we can say. We both have Houston and New England. You picked Buffalo over Jacksonville, and I'm going with Duval over the boys. That is our wild card picks. Moving into the divisional round games are going to be worth 5 points each. We'll go to the AFC side first for the divisional. Let's see. Oh no, you put them on the same one here, so we can just look at both sides here. 4 games in the divisional round of the playoffs. Starting, where do you want to start? Do you want to start with the 1 seeds? We can start.
We can start with the 1 seeds.
All right.
Well, so I have the Seahawks versus the Packers because the Packers would be the lowest seed to make it through. I think this is where the buck ends. I think the Seahawks are for real. Their defense in Seattle is as scary as anyone in the NFC. And like I said, Sammy D is kind of
back-to-back 14-win seasons.
It's only a few quarterbacks have ever done that. I'm pretty sure he's the only quarterback to do that with 2 different teams too. So it is an incredible stat. And this offense, like I said, Justin Jefferson was great with Darnold in Minnesota. He has better weapons here. Right, Kenneth Walker is fantastic. In Jackson Smith and Jigba has been incredible. You have Cooper Kupp, you have Rashid Shaheed, who is a weapon in special teams as well. I really like the Seattle team a lot. I think that they'll roll through Green Bay.
If it were Green Bay, and I also have the Seahawks, I'm going with the Rams over Seattle. And I know that Seattle has been able to find ways to win in the regular season, but that was one of the weirdest and most luckiest ways to win the last time that these two teams matched up. I feel like I'm going with the team that actually has the Super Bowl experience, and Matthew Stafford has done a lot of bad things to me in the postseason. So I'm going to go with the Rams in that defense over Seattle in that defense because I think Stafford will make less mistakes than Darnold, and Darnold at some point I believe is going to turn back into the Darnold that we've seen before. This has been the best version that we've seen of him over the last 2 seasons, but eventually the pumpkin turns back into the carriage turns back into a pumpkin. The clock will strike midnight. And if it's the Rams, I just don't have the faith that the Seahawks are going to be able to get over the hump.
Yeah, I mean, I don't hate that. Like I said, I have the Rams moving on too, but if we're sticking with number 1 seeds, I think I'm just trying to put all the bad juju out in the world. You did this with the Bengals going to the Super Bowl. And like I said, I just hyped up the Bills for so much that I'm taking Buffalo over the Broncos. I don't want this to happen. Let me make that very clear. I do not want this to happen.
But he likes to win too.
I like to win also. I am being very smart in how I'm picking football games, okay? And I will be picking the Bills over the Broncos because I think Josh Allen is all that. I think we could beat them. Let me put that this way. In my scenario, Buffalo was the lowest seeded team to move on, so Houston has to play New England. I think that Buffalo has a real opportunity ahead of them with everything that's been going on with their last time in the stadium and blah, blah, blah. Like I just feel like it's Josh Allen's year. And I'm mostly doing this because I think Buffalo moves on no matter what. I think the Buffalo could give me points if they play New England and we play the Chargers, or Buffalo could obviously could beat us. I just feel like Buffalo, it's time to shine. I think we win the game, though. I'll be honest with you. I'm picking this for the pick'em because I need to win because I want to win and I'm a winner. I think we can beat them. I think in all aspects of the game, I think Buffalo is the worst matchup for us because of how up and down they go, how great the running game is, obviously, how much Josh Allen can go up and down the field with you. They're our worst matchup offensively and defensively against them, but I think we can beat them. I think Bo Nix, with the week of rest, we obviously didn't show anything in week 18 or week 17, whatever the hell it was. We didn't show a damn thing, and you had everyone play, which is nice. So guys aren't 2 weeks off. I think, like I said, Broncos are 2 home games away from playing the Super Bowl. I couldn't ask for much more. I could not ask for much more. 2 home games away from making the Super Bowl for the first time in 10 years. It's a great opportunity.
It's going to seem like I'm picking based on being from Colorado and the homerness. Everybody knows that I'm a Bengals fan over a Broncos fan, but I do like
I'm a Broncos fan too, and I'm picking against them.
But I'm not picking the team because I think the team can look like shit and still find a way to win. I'm picking the environment because I've seen what the home playoff games in Denver look like, whether it's the divisional or the AFC Championship. And I'm not just going back to the Peyton Manning 2015 era. I'm going all the way back to when we had Jake the Snake Plummer and nearly knocked off Pittsburgh here at home the year that they ended up winning with Big Ben. Like, it's always difficult to play in Denver.
Which for those that are keeping track, and obviously the weather people in Denver are not the smartest people in the world because they mess up the weather every single day, it seems. It's supposed to be snowing next weekend here in Denver. So this game,
it's been very warm recently.
But if we play Houston, if we play Jacksonville, if we play the Chargers, obviously Buffalo plays outside, it's a little bit different. If we play one of those 3 teams, those are all dome or one more of the teams. So coming to the frozen tundra, things are going to change. Is all I'm going to say.
Let's go. I'll let you go down the rest of your list. So we talked about 2. So what are your final 2?
You picked the Rams. I'm also going with the Rams over the Niners. I like this Rams team a lot. Like I said, I don't need to be a dead horse. Their defense with Jared Verse has been incredible. They've really reinvented their defense after Darnold left. It's crazy because like if you add Darnold into this defense, it may be one of the best. It may be the best defense in the league. It's incredible how much they fly around. And Stafford is playing unreal. I mean. You look at what they're running game with Kyren Williams, but having that 1B player, which frankly calling Devontae Adams your second wide receiver is almost disrespectful.
He hasn't been playing the last few weeks.
Exactly, he's been injured, and now you get him back. I just think with Puka, Devontae Adams, Kyren Williams, Stafford, they're primed. They're primed and ready to go, and this is 2 wild card teams, so I believe San Francisco would have, or is San Francisco the 5th seed, or is it?
Los Angeles is the 5th seed.
So it would be in LA as well, which obviously is a huge thing because San Francisco fans will travel down and they'll make a big schmuck about it. But I just like this Rams team a lot, and I have the Rams taking down the 49ers. And then my last one, I'm going with the defense of Houston. I don't know what it is. I believe in Houston's defense a lot. New England, Drake May, I think that it'll be a good story getting him a win and being able to put a stamp on how good this team could be in the future. I think right now what the Houston defense can do to Drake May, they can neutralize him entirely. All you need to do is make sure that CJ Stroud doesn't have turnovers and they can beat New England.
CJ Stroud having turnovers, I think, is going to be another reason why I'm going to say the Broncos will beat Houston in my scenario. My last 2 games, Chicago hosting Philadelphia. I said that I was going to go with divisional round heartbreak. I forgot what I was doing. I'm also trolling the Philadelphia Eagles. I think Patullo, this is the week that cost him his job, and we're going to start talking about Sirianni possibly looking for work too, because I know that he won a Super Bowl, and I know he knows how to deal with the media, but those dumbass Philly people are going to be saying that he needs to be fired if they lose, especially to the Bears. But I could also see this one going the opposite way. This is kind of like a coin flip. I went with my gut, and I'm going to go with Chicago and Ben Johnson over Philadelphia and Jalen Hurts. My last game that I'm picking, because I've seen them do it to a lot of teams, the primetime games, I've actually had different Patriot games on throughout the season because Drake May was my fantasy quarterback. They beat the shit out of teams. And Jacksonville, after they get that first win, I don't know how they're going to react. I don't know if they're going to be able to hold that success. They're going to be going on the road. And New England has had their number in the playoffs. Where Jacksonville normally has everybody else's number and sneaks up on them, they have not done so with the Patriots. So I think that I'm confident in saying that New England would be able to get the win over Jacksonville, especially at home.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, New England is a damn good football team. I think that, like I said, Jacksonville at most is a one playoff win team. I don't think that they can get past us the second time or get past New England. So I agree with you on that.
Moving into the championship round, these games are going to be worth 10 points if you have a correct team that makes it through into the Super Bowl. Broncos versus Patriots. For my AFC championship, you have the Bills hosting, or excuse me, it would be the Bills going on the road
going to
Houston and playing the Texans. This would be the first ever AFC championship game for the franchise of Houston, if that is the way that it works out. So let's talk a little bit about your matchup. You have them losing, and we've heard what you said about Josh Allen. It's just too much mystical power at this point.
Yeah, I just think it's like I said. I'm riding the Josh Allen coattail all the way through, and that this is foreshadowing. Obviously, I have the Bills going very far for a reason. Like Houston is a great story. Like I said, I think there's 2 defenses that scare me the most in this playoffs: is the Denver Broncos and the Houston Texans. And one thing I've learned over the years, it's defenses will carry you far. Will carry you very far in the playoffs. Commanders defense carried them far in the playoffs last year, right? You had obviously the Rams defense that won the Super Bowl. You talked about the Eagles defense that won them Super Bowl, right? The best teams, the best defenses are usually playing the second to last week of the year. So that's why since I didn't have the Broncos here because I had them losing to Buffalo, I had to throw Houston in this conversation because, like I said, even if Buffalo or even if New England is that good and everything, I still think Houston defense will hold up more, especially in cold weather too, because DeMeco Ryans' psychoness will love that even more. But like I said, I have Buffalo over Houston. I think it's Buffalo's year. When I watch Buffalo play football, there is one, like I said, they're one of the few teams I watched and I'm like, this is a Super Bowl winning team. When I watched them on Saturday Night Football, when I watched them play primetime games against the Ravens, primetime games against the Chiefs, primetime games against the Patriots and everything, I'm sitting here and I'm like, that's a team that if you play them in January, play them in early February, you do not want to mess with. And that's why I feel so confident in the Bills making the Super Bowl.
I'm a little bit less confident in their coaching staff because McDermott has made mistakes, and that would be the one thing that I think. Which,
by the way, McDermott loses the first round. Jags win the first round. Harbaugh will be a Bills coach. I'll say that right now. I almost guarantee it.
Yeah. My AFC championship, I have a rematch from 2015, the Broncos and the Patriots, and I feel like if that happens, I know for a fact that the city is just going to be alive with electricity, and Drake May is not Tom Brady, and not even Tom Brady was able to overcome the noise that is Mile High.
By the way, he was never able to overcome it.
Never.
He is we are one of the few teams he has a losing record against. Actually, we're the only team he has a losing record against. Again, the playoffs. That's obviously from the AFC because he's 0-2 against the Giants, but also during a regular season. So I would love every second of that. Like I said, in terms of matchups that I feel most confident in us winning, going to the Super Bowl, in terms of who we have in the AFC, Patriots are up there. And probably Patriots fans will say the same thing about us, but you know in their hearts they fucking hate coming here. I have listened to 6 or 7 different Boston sports radio shows say, we need the 1 seed because we do not want to go to Denver. They were saying that with fucking Tom Brady. You're telling me Drake May in his second year, which he could, I don't know, maybe he could, would do that? No, I don't think so, especially with this defense, this cold weather. The Broncos, like I said, I would love that AFC Championship matchup, and I would love the opportunity to make the Super Bowl because I feel very confident in us winning that game.
For the NFC Championship, we both have the same champion. I have the Rams getting their get back against the Bears because I think the Bears got very lucky in their regular season matchup. And by this time, the Rams are going to be in full Super Bowl mode. McVay knows what to do more so than Ben Johnson in this situation. So I have the Rams over the Bears. And I even like the Rams in your matchup that you gave, which would be a third time around for the Rams and Seahawks. So what are you feeling in that NFC Championship?
I'm not going to beat that horse. You had this in the previous matchup, obviously in the first round. I had this in my the way my bracket's set up. This is my championship series. Like I said, Seattle's a great story. Playing in the state of Seattle and in that stadium, it's going to be going nuts. It's going to be a hostile environment. Even as a home quarterback, I don't know if Sam Darnold's ready for that. I don't know if he's ready to make that Super Bowl step. And I know Matt Stafford, because he has done it, can take that Super Bowl step. So I'll take the Rams or the Seahawks.
It's going very well. And right now it's going to look fairly similar, but we have our Super Bowl predictions, very early Super Bowl predictions. What are we thinking here? You have the Bills taking on the Rams in Levi Stadium for Super Bowl 60. What are we thinking?
Yeah, I'm going Bills to win the Super Bowl. I'm sorry. I don't know. I'm sorry, Buffalo fans. This may sound, close your ears if you don't want to hear this. If not now, when? I'll say that again. If not now, when? This is as golden of an opportunity because Drake May is only going to get better. Bo Nix is only going to get better. You may see Joe Burrow back. You may see Patrick Mahomes back. You will definitely see Lamar Jackson back at some point. Like you will see all these great quarterbacks come back. If not now, I don't know when they will happen for Buffalo. Plain and simple. They have the defense. They have the Joey Bosa. They have the great pass rush. They have a very good running game and not Dalvin Cook. Sorry, James Cook, his brother James Cook. And their only problem is their offensive weapons outside of receiver position. Which, by the way, Josh Allen just throws to his two tight ends anyways. He'll throw to Dawson Knox and Dawson Kincaid every single time. So I think Josh Allen versus Matt Stafford would be a very, very fun Super Bowl. I'll just give the nod to Josh Allen.
I'm going with the experienced quarterback as well in my matchup. I have the Rams beating the Broncos in Super Bowl 60 because it's different. It's not the same caliber defense that we saw from Denver in 2015, but it's also different in the team that you would be seeing because the Rams are explosive on offense and you'll have two receivers that you have to stop, but it's the defense that's going to carry them. And it's the defense gets going to put pressure on Bo Nix and Sean Payton. And what we've seen from this team outside of a few very fluky situations, they were amazing situations and proved that they're able to win, but 16-point comeback with 2 minutes left in the game, 4 minutes left in the game, however long was left. That's a fluke. That doesn't just consistently happen. You have to be able to put yourself in that situation. And like I said, I've felt the pain of losing to the Rams in the Super Bowl. And not that I want you to feel the same pain as me. It's just like too fresh in my mind. I can't. It would hurt way too bad for you to be able to celebrate a Super Bowl over the Rams when I'm sitting there like we could have done the same thing.
I would chop at the bits of that opportunity. Obviously, like if we make the Super Bowl, man, it's huge. And the one thing, it's McVay versus Peyton, and it's going to be a great head coaching matchup. It's mano a mano. It's Stafford versus Nix. It's Verse versus Bonito. It's a lot of great. Like the one thing that with the Rams, I will say is we match up pretty well defensively with. Obviously, we have a very good depth at corner position to match Devontae, to match Puka, and on the back end Hufanga as well to help. And Stafford, if he wants to air the ball out, our pass rush can get to the quarterback better than our run defense can stop the run. So I will say that's a very favorable matchup. But like I don't hate it at all. I think the Rams are very good. Obviously, I have them in my Super Bowl for a reason. So I don't hate that pick at all. Like I said, if we have an opportunity to get there in Bo Nix's second year, obviously I'd be upset with a loss. I'd be very upset with the loss. But at the same time, it's pretty damn fucking sick that we go that we're still paying. By the way, we're still paying Russell Wilson all this money, and we make the Super Bowl and we have a chance at winning one game.
Yeah,
and like I said, we're one of the few teams in the league that when the game and I think it was Dan Orlovsky that said this. It might have been another quarterback analyst. It was like when the game comes down to the end to the crunch time, and you want a quarterback to win you a football game. There's been no one better than Bo Nix this year. in terms of touchdown interception ratio, QBR, and everything. He has been the best quarterback in the crunch time. And if we have a situation where we're in the crunch time in Super Bowl and we unfortunately fall short, I'd be like, you know what? We have a great lot of things to get up on, and we're going to have a lot more free agency money to go get more weapons to help this offense more, and we can build off of that. So, like I said, it sucks to lose the Super Bowl, but I'm going to be upset. I take it back. I'm going to be upset because I don't want to lose the Super Bowl, but it's going to be pretty damn cool if we make it that far.
I'm also going for content, and I would love to get 3-4 weeks of playoff live streams, post-game live streams, probably bring back some of our friends, especially if it ends up being like Broncos 49ers or Broncos Rams. We can probably get people on.
Broncos Eagles may fucking put me over. I'm going to just put that, okay? I don't know if I'd survive that. So hopefully we don't get that.
No, it's good predictions. 20 points for the Super Bowl if you have a team that's in it. So we'll see who's the king of the postseason. We have our player and Benchwarmer of the week to wrap things up. We went a little bit long here, so we're going to get this out to you and send you on your way so that you can finish watching the first semifinal game and get ready for Indiana-Oregon coming up Friday night. My player of the week goes back to the FCS football level. Montana State, I mentioned the quarterback, Justin Lamson, with a huge game in the semifinals. Taco Dowler. His nickname is Taco.
Great
nickname is Taco. His real name is McLean. He got the game winner in overtime. He's been a guy that's been on this team for 5 seasons. That's the best thing about the FCS level is you get a lot of guys that are here. He's on the team with his twin brother, who's on defense, and Taco Dowler has a huge game receiving, over 100 yards. It was down to the wire, one of the best games that I've seen on Monday night in a long time. It ended up going into overtime, and who else but Taco will score the game-winning touchdown for the Montana State Bobcats, getting them their second ever FCS national champion.
That makes Montana, you know that. So good for Montana State. So happy to see that. My player of the week, a guy that the league is sleeping on, a guy that, could start on a lot of teams in the NBA, Zeke fucking Najee. 21 points, 2 blocks, 8 rebounds in the win versus the Sixers. Zeke Najee is the greatest prototype we've ever seen, ladies and gentlemen. This man will take your team. I'm talking to you, Chicago. I'm talking to you, Washington. I'm talking to you, Sacramento. He will be the greatest player in your organization.
Now I see what you're doing.
Now I know what you're doing. Fucking good. He is incredible. This guy is a difference maker. He single-handedly stopped the M-bitch train, okay? M-B did nothing because Zeke Najee is that much of a demon. This guy is the best player on the Denver Nuggets, okay? Come and get him. He has the best contract, wink, wink, best contract in the NBA. He's scoring 20 points a night. He beat the Sixers single-handedly, him and Jalen Pickett, which also on the trade market, would single-handedly help any team in the league. Great contract. Get you want him. I promise you want him. Go get you a man. Which, by the way, Nuggets are now 3-2 without Jokic. Shoot, they're talking. Are we better without Jokic? No, we're not. But we did beat Philly, obviously after the three game winning streak on the second night of back-to-back on Monday night, and then on Wednesday, as we're recording this, we go into Boston and beat Boston,
who's also been very hot.
Who's the 2 seed in the East right now? We go into Boston without Cam Johnson, with Aaron Gordon coming off the bench, without Jokic, and Jamal Murray, Jalen Pickett, Zeke Najee, ladies and gentlemen, the greatest player to ever play basketball. Come get him. They single-handedly beat both those teams. So if you're interested, I don't know. I don't know if I want to give him up though, Jimmy. I don't know. He's too good to give up. That's the only thing. He's too good to give up.
Really, so you can't tell if you want to give him up?
I don't know. I don't know, Jimmy. It'd be really hard. The guy's an NBA champion, man. It'd be really.
He is an NBA champion. He's been in the organization for a long time.
He's been around for 5 years and really done things.
He's been a body on the bench.
He's been a player that's gets a jersey every single week. Yes, yes. And he's getting paid $22 million a year to do that. But that is a great contract because look how he's playing, right? So Sacramento, come get him, right? Chicago, come get him. Washington, come get him. This is a great talent. Come get him. Look at all the backup bigs that we've gotten rid of that have done good. Hartstein, gone, great. Jay Huff, Indiana, great. Mason Plumlee, left, was great. DeAndre Jordan starting in New Orleans, great. I'm telling you, get backup bigs off our team, and your team will be elevated to a whole other level. He's a great player.
I think this is the first time in our show's history in the 5 years that we've used Player of the Week to try and sell one of our own.
I don't know. I'm saying he's a great player. It would hurt to see him go.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I hope everybody else is picking up what you're putting down.
I would shed a tear, Jimmy. I would shed a real tear. I shed a hard tear seeing that man go. Maybe a tear of happiness as opposed to sadness, but he's a really good player. Really great player.
Moving forward, you just get Zignaji because you never know when he's going to score 20 points again, and you definitely want to be a part of that next one. The Benchwarmer of the week, I mentioned it. We mentioned it at the beginning of the show. Black Monday, a team that should have put their coach on the firing circuit, did not. And not only did they not fire their coach, they also doubled down and said he's going to be here for a lot longer, and we continue to stand behind him, and we'll just keep going with what we've been doing, running our head against the wall and seeing if we're going to bust through and make a hole. The Bengals deserve it. The Bengals will always deserve it. I could put them for this award for a lot of different reasons, but how long have I been saying we should fire Zach Taylor now? Three years?
We've had this show for 6 years, so I think
only the
first
one
couple years, no.
The 2 seasons that they made the playoffs, I said he's okay. We don't have to get
rid of him. You weren't sold, but you're like, all right, he's doable. He's durable.
It is my thing, right? I want to fire I wanted to fire Joe Sakic and Jared Bednar too. That's maybe I'm wrong.
That's true. All right, my bench over the week. I shat on college football a lot last week. It's my turn to shit on something I love now, okay? College basketball is in dismay. For those that aren't in the college basketball world and aren't aware, the man on your screen, not Zach Taylor, James Najee, not Zeke Najee's brother. Let me put that out there. It's different families. James Najee is now playing for the Baylor Bears. James Najee was a first-round draft pick in 2023 by the Detroit Pistons. James Najee played 5 summer league games. James Najee is now back in college basketball playing basketball. I'm sorry. What? I'm sorry. What?
Is he getting his doctorate?
No. What are we doing? What the fuck are we doing? Like this is horrible. I understand he's only played in the G League. He's only played in summer league NBA games. The guy has lost his eligibility, and for whatever reason, under some stupid rule, underguard, whatever, he is back playing college basketball. I don't understand it in the slightest. I forgot who said this, and I'm sorry, I forgot. I'm not giving credit where it's due, but NCAA needs to change the ruling on these fucking players. The clock needs to start the second you graduate high school. You have 5 years. After that, sayonara. Go get a fucking job. I'm sorry. Okay? You have 5 years of college football. You have 5 years of college basketball. You have 5 years. You have 1 year of redshirt, right? If you get injured, you can use it that year. After the 5 years, I'm sorry. Adios. Okay? That's what happens in the real world. Welcome to the real world. This man is 25 years old playing in college basketball. And he played against NBA talent. Yep. Played in the G League. Got drafted. And he's back at Baylor. As a guy that I think I'm pretty familiar with how the CBA goes and how everything goes, I don't understand how a guy who got drafted didn't lose his eligibility in the first place. Don't understand that in the slightest. Because any person that gets drafted, I thought was gone. But for whatever some reason loophole in college basketball, James Najee is playing for the Baylor Bears now. And the man played G League basketball against grown-ass men. And now there's another guy who was a top prospect in 2019 that's also trying to do the exact same thing, who I watched play at Hoop Hall West. I can't remember his name. I'm sorry. But I am sitting here and I'm like, this is why I shat on in college football so much last week. Because the NCAA is the most corrupt fucking organization in all of sports, in all of the whole fucking country. This is ridiculous that we're allowing shit like this to happen. It's annoying as someone that just lives and dies basketball, that loves to watch college basketball. Like I said, I've been watching college basketball this week after the clock hits it's midnight on January 1st. We're thinking about March Madness, thinking about conference games, watching GCU play CSU down the street, watching GCU play Wyoming, watching all these things. And I'm sitting here and I'm like, what are we doing? What are we doing?
Everything's made up.
Crazy.
Everything's made up. Nothing matters. Pavia is also suing again for an extra year of eligibility, an extra year of eligibility.
Bro, go get a job. Go be a public speaker. It's not that difficult. Like, your name is going to be popular for the next 5 years, and then you'll go away. Like,
well, in Albuquerque, you're probably a legend for life.
Or not, whatever, Vanderbilt. Yeah,
no, but he's from Albuquerque.
So yeah, like you are set for life. You probably made enough money in this past year of college football, then you won't have to work another day. You do not need another year. No. You do not. Like this is going to hurt on so many more levels. And I understand the COVID year, and we're finally past that. But for whatever reason, people are trying to use that now to their advantage. It's ridiculous. I promise you, there's jobs. What do you think guys like oh my gosh, I can't even think of guys' names.
Jake Fromm.
What do you think guys like
Stetson Bennett?
Yes, Stetson Bennett.
Insert name of Georgia quarterback here.
What do you think they're all doing, huh? AJ McCarron.
Selling cars.
AJ McCarron coaching a CFL football team, right? Like national championship quarterbacks that did way more than you did. And same thing with college basketball players like James Donji. You were good enough to be a first round talent. You really think that going back to college basketball is a step up for you? What is that going to do for you at all? It's utterly ridiculous.
It's a little bit of an unintended consequence, but now players are willing to come back and see if they can finagle eligibility. We'll leave it on that note because we went a little bit long. We had a lot of predictions, semifinals. We talked about the Olympic hockey rosters, Black Monday firings. So if you missed any part of it, go back, check out the clips, rewatch the show, listen on all your audio platforms. Make sure that you're subscribed. Be part of those 802 benchwarmers that we've already cultivated over on our YouTube channel. And make sure you continue to follow at FEOTB Pod.
And it's fun doing these things live because Trae Young was traded while we were recording. Trae Young is now a Washington Wizard.
Oh man, he's got to be pissed off about that one.
NBA, no, he wanted to go to Washington. I know. So NBA trade season is among us, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh boy. At least we'll have something to talk about because we made all of our predictions, and we'll get into the breakdowns of Wild Card Weekend, look at what the Broncos have in front of them. Make sure that you continue to tune in. Episode 263 will be coming your way next week, but this has been episode 262 of the Far End of the Bench podcast. For myself, Jimmy Pilato, and my co-host, Nico Bryant. We will see you guys next week.
Peace.
If you don't stay down and you never quit, come on over here and sit on the far end of the bench.